All right. I think I'm live. I'm going to wait for the little YouTube panel on the side to show me I'm live. And bam, we're live. All right, boys and girls. We are live for the Ohio State-Alabama National Championship game. Green Bean, Matt, we've had a lot of news over the last few hours, last few days. So while we wait for the game to get started, let's take a little trip around the panel. And Doug Peterson was fired. I don't know if you guys heard this. I don't know if anyone's talked about this in Jetsland, but
no, I didn't.
What do you think of Doug Peterson?
That's crazy.
Go
ahead, Matt.
I liked Doug Peterson earlier in his coaching career, and the reason why I have now since turned on Doug Peterson as a head coach is because I think what made him so good and what drew me to him was his aggressive style in terms of going for it on fourth down, creative play calling, and that all seemed to end for some reason after 2018. The last 2 years, he's gotten much more conservative, much more stubborn, and less effective on fourth down. And with the number of candidates that the Jets have interviewed so far, to me, I would just rather go a different direction than taking another team's junk. We played that game with Miami not too long ago, and listen, Doug Peterson is a much better coach than Adam Gase for sure, but I just think that we could do this our own way instead of doing a retread here who has his flaws of his own too.
Green Bean, did you have any thoughts on Peterson, or were you just kind of like, I heard about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that first, hello, everybody. We're happy. We're in a good mood tonight, I think. This is going to be a great game. But I think the Peterson thing is weird because, number one, we were talking, us three were chatting earlier about the potential to trade for him. So I was not okay with that idea. So once we found out that he was fired, I just immediately felt better about it. So if we were talking about trading, and then it moved to just hiring him, so it's like weird. I got like the initial presentation softened my idea of hiring him. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with hiring him, just not trading picks to get him. That all said, I think it's weird because we've hired a Philly cast-off before. Some guys might be young enough not to know what that was, but that's where Cote came from. So last time, the Eagles fired the head coach, and Leon Hess, our owner at the time, jumped at it. Was like, oh, shit, I got to get Cote. He's that good. And that's what it feels like to me, the same kind of a thing. Now, that said, the last time the Eagles fired a coach and another team hired him was Andy Reid. So there's that as well. Or no, he might have been first. Then Chip Kelly was in the middle there. So there's been success hiring the Eagles cast-offs. They're a particularly difficult place to win in, just like us. So I'm kind of in the middle. I like him more than a lot of the guys we've interviewed. I'm really not impressed with a lot of the people we've interviewed so far. But so I think I'm still undecided. My initial feeling is just like Matt said, like just hire Dable, or you know what I mean already. Like why do we got to do this? But he won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years, and there's a lot to be said for that. So it's a toughie.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely not as down on as Peterson as I think a lot of Jet fans are. I released 2 videos in the last 24 hours about Peterson, and like the entire comments was just like, no, screw that guy, forget him. So for me, the biggest concern for me, I think, is the tanking of the last game. How do players receive that? Did he actually tank it? Did the players know Sudfeld was going to play? Did they know Hurts was getting pulled at that point? Like, because it seemed like there was a lot of agitation there. And for me, you never want to put a player's livelihood at risk. So if you're planning to pull the guys, make sure you let them know so at least they're not going 110% and they're throwing their bodies on the line. So I think that's part of it for the bad. The other part of me says, all right, this guy came in, he drafted a quarterback, he groomed that quarterback to like MVP caliber stats. When Carson Wentz went out the year they won the Super Bowl, he was the MVP of the league, hands down. And
right, yep.
Then Foles comes in and they coach through the playoffs. They win a Super Bowl, one of the most electric Super Bowls I've seen in a long time. Like just high flying scoring left and right all game. And that, like, he's made the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 years. He's 4-2 in the playoff. Like, we were looking for a winning coach, and like this guy like is a winning coach from a good coaching tree. It's just like a weird time in Philadelphia. And when I'm trying to look at it, I'm like, I don't know if I like it or if I don't like it, because I don't want Joe Douglas to just hire someone he knows, because that's where we get into issues with Adam Gase and hiring Dowell Loggins and this sort of stupid stuff. But Peterson wasn't able to hire his own assistant coaches when he got to Philly, and he didn't have player personnel control. Like, he didn't like what he was what was happening to him in Philly. He didn't like the decisions. So when I'm looking at, like, I looked over Philly 500's channel, my reaction from his reaction was that he had expected Roseman to get fired, not Peterson. But he expected Roseman to get fired and then Peterson to go, because they were just going to clean slate. They didn't think Peterson would get fired and then like Roseman would stay, because they seem kind of concerned about Roseman more than anything else. So I don't know where they go for a coaching hire. For us, I think Peterson is pretty likely. I think he's probably a top 3 candidate for Joe Douglas right now, just off the top of my head. Like, for me, I still want Dable. I would be cool with Arthur. I'm actually cool with like probably 5 of the candidates over Peterson, but I'm not like as bad. Like, if we wind up with Peterson, I'm not going to think it's the Adam Gases of like hiring by Joe Douglas. Like, there's like Peterson has way more of a pedigree. I mean, even just as a quarterback, he was in quarterback rooms with Favre, with Marino, like fucking McNabb, like literally a bunch of different guys, where Gase never really had that. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of better directions we could go. I hope we get Brian Daboll. That's the guy I want. But yeah, there's my short rant. Who's coming in here with the super chat real quick? We got Benjamin saying, "Yo, Matt, Ryan, Green Bean, how you feeling about Blitz Boy's performance on Saturday?" Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Fuck you, Jamal. Oh, man. I was like, I want to be done with Jamal and like stop ranting about this like consistently, because I feel like a broken record, and I feel like people are probably like, yo, just let off the gas. Like, stop hating on Jamal. He's not on the Jets.
Nope.
Well, you know what? Until we get their first round pick next year and we know where that's going to be, I will be avidly rooting against him. Screw him. He was an asshole to us. I just want to see him do as poorly as possible. I don't want to see him get hurt. What did you guys think of the hit that he laid on the quarterback? Do you think that was a dirty hit, or was that a clean shot? Matt, I'll throw it to you first.
Dirty. The quarterback was starting his slide already, and he launched head first at him. He didn't hit him with his helmet, but he went head first at a sliding quarterback. Like, all you have to do, if you want it, all you have to do is reach down and touch him. You don't even have to do anything really, because once you slide, you give up. But it's, I don't know. He drives me absolutely insane. So, yeah, I'm happy that they lost. It helps the Jets, and I don't know, Blitz Boy's annoying as hell. So yeah, it's a good thing they lost.
Green Bean, what'd you think about Jamal Adams' performance in his wild card one and done bounce out? Sorry.
Well, I know. You know what I liked, and I saw this from the source I had was Matt O'Leary posted it first for me, which was out of the first 79 yards, 78 were on basically Jamal Adams. He was the closest defender to the play. And I was really tickled by that. But like you, Ryan, like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I like knocking Jamal Adams. I like it. And I'm not going to stop. Nobody's going to make me stop. I get it all the time. Like, when are you going to let this go? I'm like, I don't know. When I'm done with it. Like, that's when I'm going to let it go. I'm not done with it. And like you said, we have a lot of reasons to be tied to it. When he lit the cigar in the room inside, which you're not supposed to smoke inside that building, I'm almost sure of it. You're not supposed to smoke it. He lit the cigar when they won the division. Basically, that way, it's like, I don't know. It's like, you didn't win anything yet. Like, yeah, it's the division. That's good. But what's with the cigar? He's just the most annoying guy. And that hit, like Matt said, dude, the quarterback is sliding. He already began his slide. And he drilled him. You know what I mean? He shot at him. Isn't that called targeting, right? Didn't we see some of that last week against Fields? Granted, the hit was different, but that's the thing. You're not supposed to lead with the crown of your helmet, and he did. And I just couldn't be happier that they lost on a legitimate level, because we get a better pick. There's nothing wrong with rooting for a better pick, and we get a better pick. On a different level, they gave 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick and a player to win no playoff games. I like it. It's just one more layer on why the trade was good, because Jamal Adams does not move the needle. He doesn't. This still can't take away that he's a good NFL football player. He is, but he's not an all-pro this year. And I firmly believe he only made the Pro Bowl because of reputation. And this is his last year on reputation. He didn't do anything this year. So he did break the sack record, but that was horseshit, as we know. And I just like that they didn't get anywhere due to the big old Jamal Adams trade.
Well, so that's where I fall on this. As far as the hit goes, I'll say this. I don't think the hit was illegal. I think it was a legal hit. I think it's, he turned himself into a runner. I will say that I do think Jamal's intent was kind of dirty. I think he knew he could just hold him down, but I think he wanted to lay a thump, which to me, I get it. It's football. You want to make the guy not want to play the next down. But even still, that felt like a dirty hit. And to watch Goff come in, not that Goff did anything, it was really the defense that won that game for the Rams, but it was still nice to kind of see, they got shook. Russell Wilson throwing the pick six, and I don't know, just having Jamal get look silly in coverage, I thought was pretty nice. But yeah, no, as far as the hit, I don't think it was an illegal hit. I don't think the quarterback was sliding. I think he was going down, which, I guess you could debate if you want to kind of talk about, is it a slide if you go forward, clearly giving yourself up? I don't know. I wouldn't call it a slide, but I do think he was giving himself up, and I think Jamal tried to lay a thump on him. Let's see. What else I got in here? I saw another one. I saw a super chat. Where'd it go? Bam! All right. Jeff Loke. As we wait for the game to get started, it looked like they just had the kickoff, or the coin flip, rather. Jeff Loke says, "What's up, guys? Daboll or Brady? That's my top two. I would say Daboll's my top one. Brady, I really like. I would definitely take him as my number two for sure. I think he doesn't necessarily fit the mold. I have heard he's been interviewing well, so I don't know. Matt, what do you think?"
I like both those options. I think if you're going to go with a guy even for Daboll too, but more so for Brady because he's younger and a little newer to this, I think you have to pair him with a veteran defensive coordinator with head coaching experience, like a Marvin Lewis, who I would not be in favor of as the head coach, but absolutely fine if he's a defensive coordinator. And I think that could be a successful 1-2 punch. I really do.
Alabama is kicking off to Ohio State. Ohio State to get the ball first, so we'll see Justin Fields on the field first. That was actually a pretty clever play that he just had on the kickoff. Green Bean, if you haven't seen it yet, take a look at that. I think he caught the ball right at the one, but made sure his foot was out of bounds in the end zone. I think that's what we just saw happen.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm just watching it. Yeah.
Let me know if that's what I actually saw.
It looked like he knew where he was. Yeah, it looked like he knew where he was.
Nice.
Yeah, it is
very,
smart
very
if you
cool.
did
So
that.
Justin Fields comes out onto the field for the first time. Now, what does Justin Fields have to do tonight for you to say he's the number one? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Fields takes the shotgun snap, hands it off. All right. I'll call the plays as they're happening for Ohio State, and I'll give you a little rattle back and forth for Alabama. But I want to get to some of these questions. Green Bean, what did you think of Daboll and Brady?
Well, as you guys know, and this is not a shot at anybody else in the world, and most importantly, anybody on this panel, I'm unimpressed with Brady. I think it's just, I don't see it. I don't see what everybody's talking about. I don't get it. And he makes me incredibly nervous. Daboll, on the other hand, if you look at his resume, he started his first year as an offensive coordinator. He was the 32nd ranked offense, next time 29th, next time 20th. He's made incrementally better offenses every year he's done it, and they're the third offense this year, number 2 in scoring. I'm impressed with Daboll, and I like him. And the job there that he's done with Allen is nothing short of amazing, in my opinion. So he's the guy. While he's not my favorite, but he's a guy that I would understand the hiring. Brady, it's all potential, and I don't like that for the New York Jets, man. We're not the team. And he makes me incredibly nervous. Again, I don't see it. And he's only been coaching for 7 years. 2 of those years were as a graduate assistant. I don't get it. I don't know what everybody's talking about, and I don't want him. That's my thoughts on Brady.
So, quick recap. Justin Fields threw off to the flat in the right-hand side. It got smacked back on a blitzing safety or corner, and then he went to scramble out to the left on 3rd and 8. He gets tackled short of the first down, going to be 4th and 7. They just punt the ball away, and Alabama is going to get the ball at the 22-yard line. A nice tackle on the punt return. Matt, anything you wanted to add to the Daboll Brady discussion?
Not really. I'm really okay with either one of those two guys. I'm not anti-Brady. I'm not anti-Daboll. I think both those guys have intriguing upside, which I would be okay with.
All right, V-Man jumping in says,
upside.
"Hey Matt,
Yes.
Hey Matt, for all the Sam Darnold fans in the chat, why don't you share the Darnold Flacco chart I sent you?"
Okay, so I'm pulling it up right now. He sent me their statistics. So, I'll start with Darnold and then do Flacco second. So Darnold had 2,000. He wrote 20,000, but I think he means 2,000. 2,208 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, which would put him on pace for 2,944 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. I'm not sure how we got that projected. And then for Joe Flacco, math seems a little off there, V-Man. Flacco, 848 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, pace of 3,392 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Basically, the point of that, on the same team with the same coaching staff, Flacco looked like the better player, which is scary because Flacco's, 36 and pretty much cooked at this point?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. If I had seen Sam all season without seeing Flacco play well, I would probably be more on the, hey, let's surround Sam with talent train. But because we got to see what Flacco looked like in the same exact offense with the same exact players, like that for me was the tipping point as to why like I am not super high on Sam. A little shot out to the side. Najee Harris running. Ooh, first down. We got a bunch of guys that we could look at in this game. We've got Najee Harris, the running back for the sorry, just trying to click off of that. Running back for Alabama. We got Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, I believe is playing. Is Waddle playing today?
I believe so.
They were talking about him playing. I just don't know if they actually cleared him to play. I thought he was number like 17 or something like that. Maybe that's him? No. I don't see him. I would think he's probably not playing then. Yeah, then there's some guys on the defensive side of the ball. Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain's going to be a big time, probably top 10 corner taken in this draft. What do you guys think of Mac Jones? Greenbean, you got any thoughts on Mac Jones?
I've been talking about him. I got a lot of thoughts on Mac Jones. I've been talking about him for a while. I really like him. I initially liked Kyle Trask more than him. But I actually like him out of that second tier with Jamie Newman, Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, even Purdy, who I think has chosen to stay in school. I like Mac Jones the best. I think that he's a little bit less developed, like he's a little bit more raw. He makes some read mistakes still, but they simplify it for him and they give him quick checkdowns and stuff, which is right to his strength. And I really like him. I think he's going to do very well today. You'll see against the OSU defense. That said, I don't think he's ever going to creep up into that top 4 discussion, but I think he might end up being a late first-round pick. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Now, Matt, what do you think about Mac Jones? Any thoughts or?
I'm not super high on him. I think he's probably a second-round quarterback, but I think he's gonna go in the first round. I think a team is gonna take him. Maybe like Washington might take him or someone in the 20s, but he's an intriguing player. I just think he needs a little bit more work. That's all.
Yeah,
does.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
I like the dual threat running back. Ooh, a nice tackle by Sean Wade in the backfield
Yeah,
there.
that's a good play.
Sean Wade going to be an option potentially at the 23 overall pick. There's a few guys that we could take near the 23 overall pick. It could be Najee Harris, Green Beans boy. Now that seems a little high for me. I think I was kind of not that I was hoping the pick would be towards the end of the first round, but if it was towards like 27, 28, it might feel a little not as high. Oh, that looks like Waddle, right? Waddle 17. So it looks like guys are saying he's just a little bit, he's in there limited. Mac Jones takes the shotgun snap, scrambles up in the pocket. Nice little flip.
Limping. Yeah,
Ooh.
all right, I'm still on the Sean Wade tackle over here.
Yeah, he's limping. He's done. He'll be done.
Waddle.
I don't think we see him the rest of the night. He's going to the draft.
Yeah, at this point, like,
Yeah,
why?
and I don't know if he'll be
he won't be effective.
Yeah, right,
either.
Matt. I agree.
Oh man, that sucks. I really wanted to see him play. I didn't get to watch anything of it. When did he get hurt? Mid-season this year? Is that what it was, or did he get hurt before the season?
Early.
I know it was.
I think
early.
it was
probably
like
the
first week or two. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was really excited. I was looking forward to seeing him play, but that didn't happen. Little overthrow by Mac Jones. So the Jets finally own the number 23 overall pick. We found that out yesterday because the Steelers lost to the Browns in a blowout to start the game, and then they just couldn't come back after that. What do you guys think the Jets do at 23? Because it's a little bit higher than all of us kind of thought. I think when most of us were talking about that Seattle pick, we assumed it would be like 25 to like 30, somewhere in there. So there's a few more players that I think could potentially wind up falling down to us at that pick. Green Bean, who are you looking at around that draft slot?
Well, that's a good way to say it. It's like we thought we were going to be 28 to 30-ish range. So that's 5 to 7 picks higher, which starts to bring in guys like Bateman, guys like Wyatt Davis, even Samuel Cosmi, those types of guys, and maybe even Kyle Pitts or Freiermuth. Like, they're going to be there, man. And I would not be afraid to pull the trigger on a top flight tight end. So it's really exciting being up there and not for nothing, we could even jump up a minute, a pick or two if we needed to. But it makes it more realistic. But I think it's really, really great. And I can see guys like Bateman, like Rondell Moore, maybe, not Devonta Smith, but some other guys that we thought were not going to be there, being there. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
Matt, what do you think about pick 23, and who do you think you're kind of eyeballing at that slot right now?
Yeah, it's definitely higher than I thought it would be. Like you guys are saying, I was figuring somewhere, 27, 28, 29, something like that for the Seattle pick, which, I was still more than fine with getting that kind of compensation for Jamal Adams. But the fact that it's 23, I think it leaves room for a guy like maybe Wyatt Davis does make it to 23. Was he going to make it to 29? Probably not. And he could still go off the board before 23, but I obviously your chances are higher. I'm still really high on Vera Tucker. He plays tackle and he could play interior offensive line as well from USC. I think he's a versatile lineman. Bateman, we mentioned. I think he would be an interesting pick there. It depends on what you do in free agency, of course. But then maybe you're in prime spot for corners too in that area. So Sean Wade, we talked about. J.C. Horn's another name that might be there. So I'm really excited to see the direction that Joe Douglas goes. And it just gives you that much of a better chance of getting someone, good, picking 5 spots earlier.
Yeah, and you just touched on it too. The whole free agency is going to play a huge factor in this, because if you get Joe Thuney and you get Allen Robinson, chances are you're probably not going guard or receiver at 23. You're probably taking the edge rusher. You're probably taking the cornerback. Now, that's sort of how I would like to envision the Jets offseason going.
Right end.
So for me, rather than Wyatt Davis, not that I would be opposed to it, because I think if you build the strongest O-line you can possibly build, you're not going to go wrong. But I would say cornerback and edge are the two areas that I'm looking at. I don't know.
Patrick Jones will be there.
I love
Patrick Jones will definitely be there.
So good.
I was watching a little Kwity Paye, I don't think he's going to be there. I think he's going to go earlier than that. Gregory Rousseau, I don't know
agree.
what to think of. I don't know if he goes like a lot earlier than that because he opted out for the season. So I feel like that might hurt his draft stock. Cornerback wise, man, I like J.C. Horn a lot. I think it's a little early for Asante Samuel Jr., but from what I've looked at, it seems like his draft stock has been going up. Mm-hmm. I like edge rusher. I like corner in that slot. I know it's weird because I've been preaching offense for like the last 2 off seasons, but if you get the quarterback at 2 and you get a receiver and a guard in free agency, you could go defense with a premium pick, and then you can even go offense at 34. Or and even then, if Najee Harris is there at 34, you might be able to get me to pull the trigger. Like that might be the only running back I would like. I like ETN, but I think Harris is a special back. But other than that, I might go I might go like quarterback at 2, defense, first round pick, second round pick, and then depending on what you get for Sam, if you get a second round pick for Sam, then you can kind of flip flop that. You can take an offensive guy.
Let me ask you guys, like, you know how obviously we've taken cornerbacks high in the last 15 years, quite a few times, but we have not gone edge up there. Would you be preferable? Like, would it be preferable to you guys to actually commit to the edge to support the cornerbacks this year in the first half of the draft, or would you still rather grab J.C. Horn if he's there, or whatever, Sean Wade? Would you rather go cornerback first or edge first to support the D?
Alabama has just scored a touchdown. I would say I would prefer to go the cornerback route, or the edge route, but I would like it to be edge, like a veteran edge in free agency, because I don't know if we're going to have enough money to go after like the guard and the receiver that I want on the offensive side, and also add a premium defensive player. So I would say veteran edge presence with a first round pick edge or an early second round pick edge. And then what was the other part of your question?
Just like, a lot of the times we choose cornerbacks often, but we never choose edge to support the D. Like, so obviously we know if there's a good pass rush, that helps the cornerback. So we could have a little bit lower quality cornerbacks if we get a serious edge. So would you be okay with committing to that as opposed to grabbing a cornerback early?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you have to go with the edge. The shorter amount of time the quarterback has to actually hold the ball, the more effective you're going to be as a defense overall. Like, you can have a cornerback, but if you're not getting any pressure on the guy's going to have 5 seconds in the pocket, and he's going to pick apart your defense. It doesn't matter how good your corners are. Matt, what do you think? You kind of feeling the same way?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. And, you guys kind of hinted at it, but the Jets have ignored edge or speed off the edge for such a long time. It's just like, and maybe it's just overcompensating or maybe reaching, but I don't know, man. I feel like when I look at that defense, sure, they need corner help, but if you're going to have Bryce Hall as a starter, which I think all 3 of us are okay with, then maybe pairing him with a veteran in free agency and using that early round or early draft capital on an edge instead of corner might be the better route to go. And just another thing to add on to what you were talking earlier, Ryan, about potentially taking a running back at 34. You can talk me into that. It's like, we got to consider too, we're still trading Sam Darnold, and I don't know about you guys, I think you can still get a second round pick for him. Let's say worst case scenario 3rd. So that's still just another pick in the top 3 rounds. We'll say, for argument's sake, let's say 2nd. You can have 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd. If you have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds and you want to use one of them on a running back, then okay, you could probably sell me on that, because then you're going to take a corner, you'll take an edge, maybe receiver, and continue to build up on the offensive side as well.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Multiviles. I'm going to get this name right every time now because I've screwed up so many times. Multiviles. Hey, guys. Stuck at work right now. Freezing my butt off. I want Ohio State to win, so when the Jags sign Urban Meyer, the Jags can draft Fields. So let's touch on that briefly. What do you guys think about the Jags? If they get Urban Meyer, you think any shot they go Fields, or you think they're sticking with Trevor Lawrence? Matt, I'll throw it to you first.
I would be very, 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 very surprised if they took Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence, even if it was Urban Meyer, even if they hired Ryan Day out of Ohio State. I still think they would take Trevor Lawrence. That's not a disrespect to Justin Fields. He's definitely worthy of a top 2 pick. I just think we would be using a 1-game sample size to justify that over, the 3 years of their college career or however long.
Yeah, I think it's tough because I think Joe Douglas said something along the lines the other day that the evaluation process has already been done. Now we're just kind of putting the final touches on things. I think he's already done the scouting. He knows how the players play, and he's got a rough idea. Now he's going to go to the combine. Any guys that are like health question marks or maybe hand size or certain metrics that you look for in a pass rusher, like the arm lengths and things of that nature. I think that's something he might be looking at, but I don't know if that's going to drastically change his board. It might just sort of, slide a guy up or down just a little bit. What about you, Green Bean? You think any shot that the Jags decide to go with our boy Justin Fields?
Yeah. Well, number one, I'm sorry to the chat. Everybody said that my volume blasted them for some reason, so I lowered it. Let me know if I sound bad. I lowered.
Jumpy.
Am I good now?
It's jumpy. Like most of the time you're good, and then you'll get like a robot voice for like a brief, like half a second. But more than likely, like more times than not, you sound fine. I don't know if it's maybe like bring the mic down a little bit. Like maybe it's the angle of the mic.
Oh, down.
You've got the Yeti, right? So
yeah, I lowered it. I lowered the volume on it.
Yeah,
It was
I'll let
like
you know
it
if it
was up, and
happens
I
again,
lowered
but
the gain. I lowered the gain.
yeah, it was just a brief.
Yeah, sorry,
like,
everybody. You know what's funny? I went live the other night, and I was good the first half, and everybody said I sounded like a robot. And if you look at the video, it's like all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's like I don't know what that is. Maybe it's time for a mic upgrade.
Check the connection underneath the like that plugs into the Yeti. Sometimes, I mean, you sound fine right now, so I don't think that's good. It's not really an issue. Ohio State comes out
sorry about
second
that,
and 4. It's now 3rd and 2 for Ohio State.
So here's what would need to happen for the Jaguars to take Fields over Trevor Lawrence. Number one, he'd have to come out and have a similar game to last week, and he'd have to blow up the combine and whatever pro days and stuff. That's the only chance. If he's pedestrian today, even if they win, if he's pedestrian, it's over. Like he needs to be exceedingly, better than he has, even though he's been good, but he has to remain up top for this game in the combine. That all said, I think it's really low, but the Jaguars are the team to do it if anybody would, and that's the only chance we have. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't see it is my short answer.
Justin Fields in the shotgun set, 1st and 10. We got 6:50 left in the first quarter. Fields looks to his left, throws over the middle. Bad throw.
You're not going to like it.
Oh, throws it too high. Ooh, it sounds like you're a little bit further ahead of me. We haven't seen him really let the ball rip yet. I don't know if that's where this is kind of headed. We got a 2nd and 2. Fields in the shotgun. Corner coming off the edge. It looked like he was going to blitz. Now they all pull back, looking at the sideline.
I'll be right back. Hang on.
Yep, go for it. 7, 5, 4, 3. Fields drops back, looks right, throws right. Ooh, nice little catch there. Right on the sideline. Yes? No? I think it was a catch. Looked like a catch. Charlie Gardner, hire this man for play-by-play. No, you wouldn't want to do that. I fall asleep. I won't answer the right thing. All right, 1st and 10. From the 44 into Alabama territory. All right, the handoff, no gain. Going to be 2nd and 10 coming up. Ooh, sorry. I'm hitting my microphone with my can.
Yeah, we're trying to kill these kids today. Yeah, I think it should. Well, somebody said so. We're talking about the Jags out jetting the Jets. The thing is, don't forget the Jags have done this before. Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback to take. I forget the year the draft was, but he was the quarterback. And then there was the upside of Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football at the time, and they went out of nowhere and took Bortles. Bortles was by everyone's assumption the third quarterback in that draft, and they took Bortles. I think this is a little bit more high profile. It's a little bit more ironclad, but Fields has been, dude, he's a good and exciting quarterback, especially with Lamar Jackson and Mahomes out and Deshaun Watson
got a little
out there running around like that. So they
got a little touchdown action here.
Oh yeah, who is it? Is it on Surtain? Hopefully.
No, it was an 8-yard touchdown rush.
I missed a touchdown?
Yeah, he missed a TD.
What happened?
Get a little 8-yard touchdown run off the edge. All right, so not overly crazy.
Is that Ruckert? Oh, great pass by the tight end, everybody. I'm on the tight end before it. I'm like 3 plays
that must
back
have been the play I missed. I saw guys saying hit refresh, so I hit refresh, and I must have missed that play.
Yeah. It was a good one. I think it's Ruckert. It was
88,
another good tight end in this draft. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Look at that route. It's great. And great catch, one-handed. Dude, it's so good, this catch. I know I'm behind everybody.
No, I can't believe I didn't get to see it. I hit refresh and I missed it. That sucks.
It's good.
All right. Pat, I apologize for the delay. I have to wait for the Streamlabs thing to actually load on my side before I can pop it up. Pat says, "My opinion: I'm not touching defense. I'm not touching defense till the third, possibly the fourth round. Tired of being ranked last in offense every year. Build the wall and get weapons." I understand that, and I think if you're using early picks on offensive talent, you're going to go well. Now, that said, you got to look at free agency and what we can address there. We have so much money in cap space. What helps us more with a rookie quarterback if we're going the rookie quarterback route? Or even if you're going with Sam, either way. Does it help you more to get a guy that knows what they're doing at wide receiver, like an Allen Robinson, like a Kenny Golladay, someone of that nature that doesn't have to really be showing the ropes, or like a Joe Tooney? Or would you like to spend maybe a little bit more money on an edge rusher? For me, I think edge rusher is one of the easier positions to kind of transfer to in the NFL. It's just kind of like see ball, get ball. So just go after it. Now it's not all that, but I think receiver has gotten easier. Tight end's an interesting one. Green Bean's brought up the tight end a lot. I wouldn't hate tight end. I just want to see what Herndon looks like in a new system. So if you're telling me, okay, I got a second round pick for Sam, and then we have 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, potentially 4-4, I would go quarterback, edge, maybe running back or cornerback. Running back or cornerback. Running back, cornerback, edge, quarterback. Those are my top 4 picks, I think. Assuming we get a guard in free agency. If we don't get a guard in free agency, one of those top 3 probably have to be a guard. Matt, what's your opinion on defense? Not until the 3rd or 4th round.
I think that would be a mistake. I think you need to have a little bit of balance. I understand you do have to overcompensate towards the offense a little bit, but it's so dependent on what you do in free agency too. If you're signing Allen Robinson, then taking Rashad Bateman or another wide receiver in the 1st round, that doesn't make any sense because you're going to have Denzel Mims, who you took in the 2nd round to be an outside receiver. Whoever you take in the 1st round there, Allen Robinson, Crowder in the slot. You don't need to do that. You could get a 3rd round wide receiver to fill your wide receiver 4 role. You don't have to take someone in the 1st to do that. I would rather go, honestly, even if you sign Thuney, I would still highly consider taking a guard in with the 2nd pick in the 1st round because I really think you need starting guards for next year. I don't think Elfline's a starter. I think he's okay depth. And I think they're going to move on from Alex Lewis and Greg Van Roten. So I think you need to sign one and draft.
Green Bean, what do you think? No defensive picks until the third or fourth round. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I get it too. I really do. But I think, like, don't forget, guys, it's not as simple as what you want, what you need, all those things. It's what the draft is going to give you. You know what I mean? So it's what positions are strong in the draft. For example, 2 years ago, the Quinnen Williams draft, defense, it was defensive line, edge rushers. That was what the draft on the front end was giving you. It was a very deep class. Last year, not so much. After Chase Young, pretty much everybody was kind of in the same tier. Like, it wasn't an exceptionally strong edge class. This year is a little bit different. This year, the edge class is a bit stronger. There's a good 5 to 10 really solid edge rushers that if you get, they could probably be, for the most part, day one starters.
Devontae Smith, wide open. Monster gain.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So I think, no, that's okay. That's okay. Obviously, we're here for the game, right? So I think while I understand the offensive thing, and I do lean that way, edge in particular is something that this draft happens to be fruitful in. Like, there's a lot of them, and they're good. They're above average edge rushers. So you want to take advantage of what the draft has to offer. You don't want to squeeze square pegs and round holes because you're sticking to a philosophy. That's just as bad as best player available, no matter what the position. Like, those extremist views can be very dangerous. So I think, let's say the first 3 rounds, I'd say 1 or 2 defense in there out of those 5 picks is probably smart.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd fall as well. 1 to 2, because for me, when I think of running back, I feel like second round at the earliest is the earliest I want to go on a running back. So if you say that's one of the picks, quarterback's going to be the one at 2, or you're going to trade down, then you're going to have a ton of picks, and then it won't matter who you pick because you'll have so many freaking draft picks. So running back, quarterback, edge, corner, interior offensive line. For me, what do you think is more of a need? And I guess we can kind of go. Actually, you know what, I'll hold off on the tight end question because there's one that's coming up that just hasn't popped through on the sidebar yet that I'll put up. But I like what you're talking about, Green Bean, and saying how you'd rather draft a guy in a strong class because it shows, like, I don't know. I like the idea of going wide receiver the year that we took the Louisville Slugger out of Louisville, Calvin Pryor. That was a really strong wide receiver class. A lot of people said that we were really high on Odell Beckham Jr. Unfortunately, he went just a few picks ahead of us. And I think Brandon Cooks went like a pick after us. So last year, it was weird because last year was a receiver-heavy draft. Does that mean you'd be more towards, if this is an edge-heavy draft, would you be more for taking an edge later because it's such a bigger class, or would you be wanting to take an edge earlier?
It's top-heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, it's not that this is like a super strong, like last year wide receivers. It's not that, but there are some premium types up front, you know, of the draft. So they'll probably be gone by the third, which is why waiting a little bit for your interior offensive linemen might make sense. Like, you know, there's a few up front that are probably better than the rest, but if you can get like the wide receivers, you know, your edge rusher, quarterback, obviously taken care of on the front end, a lot of this is going to push these interior offensive linemen down to the late second, third, fourth range. And you can get some really good ones there. Particularly centers are probably going to push. So that's what ends up happening. And that's, you know, that's the way you got to look at it. You know, it's not just as simple as we need this, we're going to get this. If the best tackle in this draft would be the 5th best tackle in a strong year, you don't run and take it. Like, you don't reach for that. You take what the draft, you can get a premium player, a blue chipper at a different position. It sucks a little bit, but you're getting better players. You know what I mean? You got to always make sure you're bringing in the best player at a position of need. So that's what ends up happening, you know? And again, we're still in the early stages of all this evaluation. The combine's really important, as are pro days and stuff, but we can obviously look at the play and you can already tell that there are some pass rushers in here. Like I said, probably between 5 and 10, 6, 7 kind of thing, that are really, they're good, man. They're like, you want them on your team. So taking one up there is probably going to make sense, even though it would piss off the offense crowd. It's smart to do it, most likely.
Ryan comes in with the super chat saying, "How would you guys feel about Herndon Ertz duo?" I would like it. I don't. When I was trying to put together a mock draft, I had us trading for Ertz because I figured we could give up like a late round conditional pick for next year, like if we re-sign him, or we just like don't, give up a pick if we don't re-sign him. Now, that being said, I would say the Ertz trade shouldn't happen. He's due like $8.5 million on a 1-year deal next year because he has voidable years after that. I'm cool with Ertz if it's a free agent pickup and it's relatively minimal money because we've invested a little bit in tight end over the last 2 years. You got Wesco, Griffin, Herndon. I'd like to see how those guys play. I don't think it's a set in stone thing. If the new head coach likes a tight end that's coming out in the draft or sees one in free agency, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I would say I would like to see our current tight ends run it back with a new offense. Matt, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I'm really opposed to taking a tight end early in this upcoming draft because I think with the amount of needs the Jets have, I think it would behoove them to run it back with Chris Herndon another year. And then if you could sign a veteran like Ertz, like if he's available on the cheap, sure, because there's not going to be a ton of teams who are going to be able to pay him in free agency. We're assuming he gets cut, obviously, and there might be some other names that hit the market. I think Ryan Griffin's pretty much done. I think his injuries are going to really hold him back. So I definitely think you need to add a veteran, but I'm still really high on Herndon. I think he could be a player in the right offense, and I just don't think Gase knows how to use tight ends.
Green Bean, what are you thinking about a Herndon Ertz duo?
Yep.
Smart. End of story.
I like Ertz. Didn't he? Yeah, it's good. I like Ertz. I think that was interesting. That was the year. Didn't we take Jason Morrow that year, like up front? And then Ertz went like a round later, and Jason Morrow's guy. I think that was something like that.
So
I might
Ertz
be wrong. But
Ertz
yeah, I
is
like
30
Ertz,
or 31, I think. So that could fall in line. I want to say Amaro was 2011. Is that right?
No, I think it was 13 for Ertz.
No, I'm saying
maybe I have it.
You think Amaro was that late too?
It was something like that.
Amaro was 2014. Ertz might have been. Ertz is either 2013 or 2014 for his draft year.
So yeah, 2014 for Amaro. Let's see.
Let me see. It's funny. I shouldn't even have led with that.
That's funny. Well, no, it's a second round pick. I think it was 49 is what I saw for our guy. So Ertz was 1 year earlier in the second round, 35th overall. So top end of the third round.
Can you see who'd we take that year? Can you just look? Because it all smears together. I'm smart and shit, but I'm old too.
I got it. Don't you worry.
So, but my point is, I know all that RAM, man. You're smooth now.
I got it. It's here. Sorry. Okay, so first round, that was the D. Milner, Sheldon Richardson draft at, what was it, 7? Or no, Milner was 9, Sheldon was 13. In the second round, so Ertz goes at 35. We took Geno Smith at 39.
Okay, so I'm
just a few picks in front of Le'Veon Bell, Jamie Collins, Eddie Lacy, Travis Kelce, those guys.
Yeah, those guys, Travis Kelce. Right, so I think, while I'm okay with that, I think when you get a quarterback, a young quarterback, and bring him in, people undervalue what a top flight tight end can do for a quarterback. So I think grabbing one of these guys, this happens to be, this is a deep tight end class too. So there are some guys you can get later. It doesn't have to be up front, like a Ruckert, like a Nick Eubanks, like Hunter Long, and some other guys, but Kolar is another one from Iowa State that I just really, really love. So, but I think grabbing one in this draft would be a good idea. Like I said, I think we value wide receiver, and rightfully so, but we tend to push tight end away. And if you can get a guy that actually blocks well and can catch, I mean, what's better than that for a young quarterback? So I'm favorable to putting more resources into the tight end department. And I think, the Ertz, that'd be fine. But I just think it's bargain bin shopping for a position that, if you get both of them young now, they can grow together and change the trajectory of the team just like that. And that's how I see it. So I'd prefer to go otherwise, but I'd be okay.
I like it. Interesting. All right. Pat Vito coming back. I like you, Green Bean. Pat Vito says Thuney Robinson in free agency. Fields with the number 2. Wyatt Davis at number 23. Etienne or Harris in the second round. Edge in the third, your man David Falele in the third, or however you spell it, LOL, at O-tackle with the second, third. Thoughts? 100%. I'm signing up all day for that. If you tell me I can get Thuney Robinson in free agency, that automatically upgrades our offensive line, our wide receiving core. Fields, fantastic. And then that's not even considering, like, trading Sam Darnold, which, if we want to talk about this, Joe Douglas was the VP of player personnel for the Eagles when they traded up to draft Carson Wentz. Now, he wasn't on staff for when they traded up to get Wentz, so that's important. But he was there for when they were trying to decide what to do with Sam Bradford, the quarterback that was broken down from the year prior. What they ultimately decided to do was hold on to Sam Bradford and let him play in the preseason. Don't rush the rookie into the fold, and then if a starter goes down, he swapped Bradford for a first-round pick. So, my thoughts, I guess, Pat, I love the draft. I really love the draft. Thuney, Robinson, Fields, starting guards. So we have 2 new starting guards, a quarterback, a brand new wide receiver, brand new running back, a 6'9", 400-pound starting right tackle. I would be all on board for that. So, Matt, I guess I'll throw it to you first. What are your thoughts on Pat's offseason? And then I don't know where I was going with the rest of that.
I like the offseason. Thuney and Robinson would be a home run right there. Fields at 2. I think you could absolutely make the case for that. I don't know about Etienne or Harris in the second round. I would probably go edge in that spot if it were me. But that's nitpicking. I think it's a good idea. I like the mindset here.
Greenbean, what do you think about the mock from Pat Vito?
Yeah. Thuney Robinson in free agency, fantastic. Fields with number 2, Wyatt Davis 23, Harris, Etienne, and Edge. And I mean, yeah, I think it's fantastic. What I would look at though is how many edge rushers are leaving the board, and you know what I mean. You want to make sure you get that, because you can get a good running back like Ryan's guy Gainwell, or there's quite a few decent running backs. So I don't know. I think it's great, and just like Matt said, we could nitpick this and go either way. I would probably prefer edge if a group of those guys were still there that I really like. But, I mean, dude, I would love Najee Harris. And I'd override a lot to get him. I think he's special. I think he's Derrick Henry 2.0.
Devontae Smith with a nice little 5-yard touchdown reception. Man, he's fast. If I had to nitpick on something with this mock draft, I would say Etienne or Harris in the second is the one thing that I'm kind of like on. I'm not super high on going running back that early. But one of those 2 guys, you could get me on board, I guess. I think the value at the top end of the second round is probably with edge or cornerback, if I had to guess, because there's going to be some really nice running backs in the third round. So I might flip that around. Greenbean said my guy, Kenny Gainwell. I'm a big fan of Gainwell, as well as a few other running backs. But yeah, no, can't complain with that. If that's how our offseason had to go, I would sign up for that 100 times out of 100. So, Pat, you've been paying attention. You've been watching all your videos. You've been learning all your stuff, because that was a really good mock draft. Dave, let's talk sports. Yeah. Hi, guys. Hi, you guys are all well. Thanks for doing the stream for us all. What are your thoughts on Carlos Basham? There's something I like about him. Green Bean, I know, has brought up Basham a bunch of times. on this panel, as well as Matt, I believe. So, Green Bean, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think about Carlos Basham? He's the edge rusher from Wake Forest.
I think, right, Wake Forest. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I don't love is the Wake Forest piece. But I think he's got there's every justification to be one of the top 5 or 6 edge rushers in the draft. I'd be very happy with him. Again, I prefer Patrick Jones. I just love his style of play, but I like him more than like Roche, and some of these other guys. I might even like him more than Rousseau. I don't like him more than Kwity Paye, but I think Basham's in the conversation, man. It's going to be really nice and fun to see these guys and how they do their positional drills in the combine, to see their agility and their burst and all that. But yeah, man, I mean, he looks like a man amongst boys at times on the field, and I like Basham a lot.
Green Bean, did you see the thread that popped up in Jet Nation the other day that was talking about the potential of no combine due to COVID? I don't know if that's actually a thing.
No,
that would suck because I would be very upset if they didn't do a combine. Fields is on the field. Drops back in the shotgun set. Hold on just a second. Nice little throw over the middle for like 13 yards. So yeah, if they didn't do the combine, like one of the biggest things of the combine is that everyone's testing on the same surface and the same like conditions. Like if you do pro days, yes, it's a little less, people around, but I think the not having same conditions, like that's why some guys run faster at their pro days versus, at the combine. So I don't know. It's just an interesting thought that I wanted to bring up. Matt, I'll get your thoughts. What do you think of Carlos Basham? And then I guess thoughts of possibly not doing the combine, and then we'll throw it back to Green Bean to talk about the combine.
Yeah, I definitely like Basham. I think he is definitely in the mix at 23. Him, Patrick Jones, those seem like guys who could be there that I would be comfortable taking. To me, there's a pretty good class that can go in the first round, obviously towards the top, and then into the early second round. Then I think it drops a little bit, but those are two of the guys who are towards the end of that for me. But I like Basham. I think he is definitely in the mix at 23 for sure if he's there. And as far as there not being a combine, that would be disappointing because, I mean, it is an important draft for the New York Jets. I feel like we say that every single year, but this one in particular is a really important draft. So I think you need to get as much scouting and analysis as you could possibly get. So that'd be disappointing, to say the least.
Now, I guess one thing that does seem promising is I think they just announced the coaching staffs for the Senior Bowl. I'm pretty sure the Panthers are one of the teams, and I don't remember who the other team is, but there's the 2 coaching staffs are going to be overlooking the Senior Bowl. So I guess if the Senior Bowl's happening, there's no reason why the combine can't happen. But Green Bean, what do you think about if the combine were canceled?
Well, I find it hard to believe. I mean, look at the field right now. There are more people in that stadium right now than are at the combine. The combine is very spread out. I mean, to do those drills with masks on might be that could be questionable. These guys are pushing the limits. So I don't know, but I find it hard to believe that would be a real concern after having the season. So I don't know. I didn't see the thread. I haven't been on Jet Nation this week. But I don't know. That would really suck, like Matt said, because I'm looking forward to it. I love the combine, man. It's a holiday for me. I take off work and shit, just to watch it. Not that it's ever on.
I should take off from work. But it's just so much fun to sit there and just overanalyze all these different things.
I love it. Yeah, and now they have different networks, so the ESPN and then NFL will be showing 2 different pieces at the same time. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's good. So anyway, I would be bummed. I hope that doesn't happen. But when I look at the season, I find it difficult to believe that the combine wouldn't be justified. You know what I mean? Because it's so limited in people being there. They're spread out.
Yeah, I don't know if part of it. So, I guess there's a few ways you could kind of look at it. They're not getting paid yet, so they're still students. I mean, they are signed with agents, so they're, I guess, professionals. But maybe that has something to do with it, or I don't know. I would think you'd be able to do it. And thanks for the guys in the chat that jumped in. So the the Panthers and the Dolphins are the two teams that are going to be coaching the Senior Bowl, which means the Dolphins with the third pick are going to have a huge inside track on picks right around, well, I guess the 2 picks in the first round that they have. So they are going to be at least in on the seniors for this upcoming draft. Ryan coming in with a super chat saying, do you prefer Godwin or Robinson? I feel that Robinson is going to be way more expensive. Should we trade Crowder for a second or third and draft a guy at 23? I don't want to trade Crowder. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He knows the team. I think you got to have some veterans. So it's a no for me in terms of trading Crowder, even if you can get like a second or third for him. I mean, I guess if you get a second, maybe I would consider it, but I don't really want to move on from him. Godwin or Robinson? Robinson to me is like a finished product and has proven to play really well with bad quarterbacks. Godwin is on a team with a bunch of other studs, which is a little bit concerning for me. I would be happy with either one. Godwin's younger. I think Godwin's like 24 or 25. Robinson, I think, is 27. So I'm all for either one of them. I think there's a good shot that the Jets could get Godwin, just because I think with Barrett shaking free from Tampa Bay, they're going to want to bring him back. I don't know, Matt. What do you think about Godwin and Robinson?
I definitely prefer Robinson. I'm not opposed to Godwin, but I just think Robinson's the better player. I'd be willing to break the bank for him, but if you're telling me that it's either Robinson or Thuney, or I can get Thuney and Galladay maybe, then I'd rather go that route. Because I think guard is more important, and then I would take a second tier free agent. But if you're asking me just straight up one or the other between those two, I think Robinson's the better player, and the age difference doesn't really scare me too much.
That is absolutely a great answer, because if you had to pick the best wide receiver, you're probably taking Robinson. If you had to take the best player first, it's definitely Thuney, and then you wind up pulling the trigger, maybe not on Robinson, but on a Galladay, on a Davis, on someone of that next tier. So I definitely agree there. Green Bean, what do you think about Godwin or Robinson? And you could, if you think we should trade Crowder for a second or third.
I vacillate back and forth with Godwin and Robinson.
Vacillate? Is that something you can do on air? I don't think you can do that on air. That sounds dirty.
Oh, I do it every week.
I do it after I get off the stream. I take what's that commercial with the sheets? I take a sheet before I go on the plane.
Yeah. It's like you guys can only see. I could be literally in a half shirt and panties. You guys wouldn't know. I'll vacillate whenever I want to vacillate. Yeah, I know. You could tell. You could tell I'm in panties or not. So I think, I go back and forth on Robinson and Godwin. I think really that's a good point you brought up, Ryan, that when guys are on teams with a lot of other studs, there's less pressure on them, and the defense is more spread out, not able to focus on you as a true number one. And that makes, that does make a difference. That's actually a good point. Godwin is younger, a little bit more versatile. He's played the slot as well as outside. But I think if all things were equal, I would probably choose Robinson. But I do think he may be a touch more expensive too. And that's got to be factored in. I would probably say Robinson for just best player to bring on the team, probably Robinson. And as far as trading Crowder, he's $10 million on the cap. Depending on what else we're trying to do, if we want to bring in, like, hypothetically, Deshaun Watson, Thuney, Robinson, and you got to let somebody go, maybe that happens. Other than that, I would really rather keep Crowder and let him be on a team with other talented people around him and then see what that guy does, because he's no joke, man. Crowder's good, and I'd like to see him stick around.
Crowder's definitely been one of the more surprising add-ons the last few years. Like I didn't think he'd be like a huge add, but it was definitely huge for this team. Oh, fumble. Ohio State jumps on the ball. There we go. Suck it, Alabama. Side note. So with from the little bit we've watched of this game, we're now at the 12-minute mark roughly in the second quarter. I think Fields has broken ribs. It doesn't seem like they're letting him let it rip right now.
He's definitely banged up. And he's missing throws too. High.
Yeah. It seems like he's not able to. I don't want to say step into his throws, but it doesn't seem like he's got the same velocity on his throws that he had last week. Greenby, you notice anything like that, or
That's yeah. Well, I noticed that he's not running. You know what I mean? It's hard. I'm not watching the game the same way that you guys are. I did notice a couple high, but yeah, I mean that'd be something. Like, so they're trying to protect them. I'll tell you what, though. You see Mac Jones, looking good. That guy.
he's looking okay. He's looking okay. I just don't like that he's such a statue. Our boy. Well, hold on. Fields dropping back, throws a little. Oh no! He had a touchdown and the receiver dropped it. Looks like it's going to be pass interference. Probably going to put him down on the 1. Our boy, New York Jets news. Jude Jets, brother, how you doing? He's in the chat. Guys, if you've not followed Jude Jets on YouTube, type in Jude Jets. His his YouTube channel is New York Jets News. You'll find it under Jude Jets. With the Saints being so much under, he means over the cap, they most likely won't re-sign edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, who has 12.5 sacks this season. You think the Jets should pursue him this offseason? Yes. Anytime the Jets could get an edge rusher, I would be very much in favor of it. And I think those under-the-radar kinds of guys, like I brought up Aquara in my halfway through the season mock draft, but if this kid's got 12.5 sacks and he's coming off the Saints, I think touchdown Ohio State. Looks like they have scored the equalizer. Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. I'll be honest, I haven't watched enough of him. So, Jude Jets, you're the one that's turning me on to him. So, I like that. Matt, do you know anything about Hendrickson?
I know he had a really good year this year, but I don't know if this is like a flash in the pan kind of thing and he's going to disappear again after this year. It's definitely a little bit risky to pay him significant money because I want to pull it up. I'm vamping for a second. I think he had just, let's see.
I'll pull up the PFF.
Sacks and 2 sacks in 2017. So this 13.5 sacks has kind of come out of nowhere. So just be smart. Don't break the bank on him. But if you can get him at a relatively inexpensive cost, then hell yeah, let's go.
So Trey Hendrickson, for you guys that don't know, he is 6'4", 270 pounds. He ran a 4.65 40. He was part of the Florida Atlantic Owls. I can't say that's a very well-known school, at least in my book. He is going into his 5th year. He was drafted in 2017. So his Pro Football Focus grades over the last 4 years, starting in 2017, 60.6, 65.1, 68.3, 72.1. So he has gotten better each and every year that he's been in the league. He excels as a pass rusher. His pass rush grade this season was a 78. That's good for 16th overall. His run defense grade was a 54.8. That was 76th overall. So definitely not good in the run defense or the coverage aspect of it. But if you're looking for a situational pass rusher, that's definitely someone who we should look into. Now, like Matt said, if the production is mainly for this season, how much are you really willing to spend on the guy? I think that's a legitimate concern because you don't want to spend a ton of money on him and then find out it's been a flash in the pan and he's not going to be able to sustain this type of success. So we're going to have to lean on the scouting department and Joe Douglas to really make sure we drive this one home. Greenbean, do you know anything about Hendrickson?
No, I don't. I don't know why. It's completely flying over my head. I don't even know who we're talking about. So I'm sorry. Let me skip this one if you don't.
Nope, not a problem at all. That's from our boy Jude Jets, and you don't even have an answer for him. What the heck? What?
I know. I feel bad. Ask another question, Jude.
Hunter Jernigan says, how do the Watson trade rumors raise or lower the value of the Jets' number 2 pick for quarterback-needy teams? That is a great question, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm about to answer this. So, all right. So, the Watson trade rumors. I think the best place for Watson to go would be the Miami Dolphins. And it sucks as a Jet fan because I obviously do not want that. But from a who has the most draft capital to like where he would like to go. Like, what are the issues with Watson? He would like Bieniemy to be interviewed. Houston is not interviewing him. He's upset with the way they've handled the social injustices and those sorts of things. So for me, I think he would like to have, you know, a head coach that at least has had a shot at, you know, I don't know. I don't want to pull like the color card here, but I think Flores in Florida is not like out of the realm of possibility. And I also think that team's exciting. Like Miami's a trending upwards team. Not to mention they have Tua with 4 more years left on his contract. So I think no trade clause wise, Watson would like to go to Miami. We sort of heard as much last week. Oh, you guys are saying scoreboard? Yeah, geez, I announced the scoreboard and I completely forgot to change the change the score. Yeah, I like that Tua has 3 to 4 years left on his deal. I don't buy into Tua, but I think Houston can sell Tua to their fans. Then they have the 3rd overall pick, and they have I don't know what their other pick is now. It's got to be late teens, I guess, because they missed the playoffs. So they are in the best possible position to trade. Like, they are ahead of the Jets. The only way the Jets could trade for Watson is if they give up the 2nd overall pick, they give up, you know, their other first, and then you either have to give up a additional first next year or Sam Darnold if they want Sam Darnold. There's no real, you kind of have to feel him out, because if they like Justin Fields, for instance, then the only way they can get him is by using that number 2 pick, because we have the leverage to say, hey, look, we don't know who's taking the pick. We're trading out of it either way, so you're either going to give us Watson or not. So if they like Fields or if they like Wilson a lot, either one of them, then that was a dirty catch by Smith. Oh, man.
I can't believe that toe tap, just perfection.
That was wild. Just a little boop, got it. Man, he's good. Yeah, I think Miami makes a ton of sense for Watson. They can offer more than the Jets. It's just a matter of if Miami wants to move on from Tua, if Houston wants Tua. But how does that affect the number 2 pick? So I would say this: if Houston falls in love with a quarterback that is not named Trevor Lawrence, the only shot they have to know they're definitely getting him is with the number 2 overall pick, which would not happen in terms of a trade until day of the draft, because God forbid Trevor Lawrence falls to 2, the Jets may opt to do that. In terms of other teams, if we trade down, like now let's say we're talking about the Jets going back with Atlanta at 4. So then you go Trevor 1, Fields 2 to Atlanta. If Houston's sitting at 3 and they've traded with Miami, they're not taking a quarterback at 3. They're either going to take the top player on their board or they're going to trade out of that for more draft picks. If it's Miami, I think they're taking Sewell. I don't think they're going to take a receiver there. I could see Jamar Chase. But if the Jets are sitting at 4, then I think you sort of discuss the idea of, okay, do I take Jamar Chase? Do I trade down even further if Sewell's there so that way someone else can come up and get Sewell, and you just keep adding picks. And then maybe you fall back to, say, like 8 and you take Patrick Surtain or you take a cornerback, and it's not necessarily the offensive side of the ball like we were hoping. There's a lot of ways it can kind of go, and I don't know, like, I don't know. Matt, what do you think the Watson trade rumors do for the number 2 overall pick and for quarterback needy teams in general? Like, how does that affect us versus, I don't know.
I guess it depends on where he goes, right? Like, Is this asking lower the value of number 2? Okay. I thought he was talking about the Jets giving up the number 2 pick for Watson. I'm getting the question now. So let's say Watson's trade, then does that affect? I guess it would, because that's just another less quarterback needy team. So I would say, wow, Najee Harris. Oh my God, just give it a minute, and you guys will say,
give it a second.
Sorry, that was distracting. But I guess theoretically, yes, it would lower the value of the number 2 pick. I'm not really worried what the value of the pick is, though, because I'm just taking whichever quarterback I like the most there. It's not really like I'm looking to move out of it anyway, so it's not something that's really high up on my radar.
I just saw that play. Wow. Najee's creeping up to that number 23 pick, Green Bean. I don't care what Matt
Telling you,
says.
dude. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be a question at 34 because he's going to be gone. That's how I feel. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not 100% on that, but the guy's special, man.
Do you think he
Um,
goes first, or do you think ETN goes first? Because ETN's like sort of been heralded as like the running back from a lot of websites like for the last 2 years. But Najee's definitely had the better season this year, and you could argue he's had the better season like his entire career. What do you think, Bean?
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of teams are going to like him better, and therefore, he could do. I think it's just like it's a taste thing. I think they're
Mhm.
1A and 1B. For a lot of reasons, but it depends on what style of runner that you like. Man, nice catch by Harris. Look at him. Look at a touchdown. Is that what you guys are talking about?
That's what.
Yeah.
Yes, it was awesome. The nice little leap he took. It was nice.
Dude, everything. I mean, he's just so great. And that run before it on this drive. So I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I could absolutely see him leapfrogging Etienne. I wouldn't be surprised, you know. I love him.
So
It's my favorite back in the draft class.
Finn McCory asked a question. If we were to draft Fields or Wilson, do you think they would start right away? So, in my research of Doug Peterson and all that good stuff with Joe Douglas, I came across how they handled the Carson Wentz trade. Now, Joe Douglas was not on the Eagles for draft day, so he did not draft Carson Wentz. He did not make the trade up to get Carson Wentz, and we don't know what was available for the Eagles to trade Sam Bradford for during the draft. But what happened was Sam Bradford came into training camp. He played. The Vikings, Teddy Bridgewater went down with a horrific injury, and he was traded for a first-round pick to the Vikings. So for me, if they don't think they're getting fair value for Sam, I don't think we trade him. I think we hold on to him and we just sort of let him try to build some draft stock up a little bit. I think Sam's a good guy, and I don't necessarily think it's ever a bad thing if you have two good quarterbacks. Not that I necessarily expect that to happen, but I think there's a realistic shot that the Jets look to move on from Sam at training camp if they don't get at least a third-round pick for him in the draft. Green Bean, what say you, Fields Wilson starting right away?
Yeah, I think that if you draft a quarterback at 2, more than likely they're going to end up, if they're healthy, they're just going to end up starting. I think that's just kind of the way it goes. I can see what you're saying about Darnold too, though, Ryan. I think it makes sense if they're getting offers of fourths and late thirds and they just don't, it's not what they want to do. Hold them and let them play the preseason and let them do that. I mean, we got a third for Teddy Bridgewater after no one wanted him just a few weeks earlier in free agency. We signed him. No one wanted him. He played well for 4 games in the preseason, and we got a third for him. So that's a very realistic option. I think it's smarter than just taking whatever you can, although it does have value to trade him at the draft because a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. So, this year's pick, like we all know, is actually worth more than next year's same round pick. So, but I could see it. And if Darnold is here, no, I think if we draft a quarterback at 2, we're starting him. I think that's what we're going to see.
Matt, what do you think about Fields or Wilson starting right away?
I think they can and should start right away. It's not like the Jets have a better scenario right now. You want to get
Right.
the learning curve out of the way anyway in that first year, because we talk about it all the time. The most valuable thing in the NFL is a quarterback on his rookie contract. So you want to be competitive in that window. And unfortunately, the Jets missed the boat on that one with Darnold. But I guess transitioning to Darnold, I would be opposed to keeping him around after the draft. I just think that would cause drama and controversy and just another storyline and more questions for Darnold and whoever the coach is and whoever the quarterback they take at 2. I would so much rather trade him and then use that draft capital this year to help out this year's roster than worry about next year, because then it's like you're just kicking the can down the road year after year after year.
Right.
Yeah, I think you guys both hit on some really
Makes
good
sense.
points. I think the part for me that's interesting, and I guess we can kind of get into it with Ryan's comment right here. He says Devontae Smith at 2, Najee Harris at 23, Mac Jones at 34. He basically wants Alabama East Coast. or Northeast. I would not endorse this at all. Like all three of these picks, I'd be kind of upset with. Devontae Smith, I really like. I'm only considering him if the Jets trade down to like between 5 and 10. And even then, I might take Pitts ahead of him. Like it's nothing bad to say about Smith, but I just think we need a different type of wide receiver than what he is. Fields actually going for a nice little run there. Definitely avoids contact. So Devontae Smith at 2, I don't really like. Najee at 23, I don't love running back in the first round, so you can't really sell me on it. But Mac Jones at 34.
Yeah.
This is an interesting thought process, and I think this is kind of where I want to steer this question. So I apologize, Ryan, if I'm not like answering it the right way. But what would you guys say if Joe Douglas and the head coach were like, hey, maybe it is better for us to build the team first and not trade away Sam, or maybe they like a few quarterbacks late and they wait till the pick 34 to take a quarterback and then they decide if they want to trade Sam. Like maybe Sam's only getting traded if a certain quarterback falls to that 34 pick, or maybe they're like, okay, you know what, if we don't get him, we're going to run it back with Sam. Worst case scenario, the team is built for next year, kind of like what we were saying at the beginning of the season, before we'd know we'd have a top 2 pick here. Green Bean, what do you think of Ryan's comment of Devontae Smith 2, Najee Harris 23, Mac Jones 34, or what do you think of the idea of taking a quarterback at 34?
I'll bring us back to ancient history. 1 week ago, during the OSU Clemson game, the same comments were being said about Fields, Sermon, and Olave. You know, it's just I think they're good players, but I think doing something like that, number one, don't forget other teams. There's 31 other teams that might want those guys too. So this plan doesn't always happen like that. So I think it's kind of wishful thinking, and just kind of, it's like one of those fun comments during a game. I don't think that's really a realistic option. And I think it's probably not the smartest way to go either with Devontae Smith at 2. I don't know. That's just not smart for us. So I wouldn't like to see that. I like the players, but I wouldn't do it.
Matt, what about you? What are you thinking about this whole dynamic?
I think I'd have to have a serious conversation with Joe Douglas if that was the plan. I'd want to talk to him about positional value and the 5th-year option and all those kinds of things. I would be very upset if this was the Jets' plan. I don't think Mac is anywhere close to the top 4 quarterbacks in this draft class. I think that would be a mistake.
Yeah, Mac Jones doesn't kind of tickle my fancy. Like, I feel like if we're going to take a quarterback, get your pick of the guys up at 2. Like, even if you have to overdraft a guy, like, say you love Trey Lance and you want to take him at 2, like, I would endorse that more so than passing on a guy till the 2nd round. I don't know. I think if you like Mac Jones, you'd almost have to take him at 23 if he's there, as opposed to waiting till 34. Plus, you want that 5th-year option anyway. You guys are saying Ryan with the White Claw. Let's go. It's what's in my fridge right now. I don't have anything else. See, look, Matt's got a White Claw. I've got a White Claw. Green Bean's got a white beard. It's fantastic. It all goes together. Actually, you know what's really good? I've been on a seltzer kick, and this is not a hard seltzer. This one is just so it's Spindrift. It's like an iced tea lemonade. So it's like an Arnold Palmer seltzer. Definitely.
The delicious.
Yeah, worth it. Definitely worth a little. I feel like I'm almost like a sparkling.
Good for you.
Or I'm a seltzer aficionado now with all the different ones I've tried. I've tried the Kalo. I've tried White Claw. I've had Truly. I've had Spindrift. All that stuff. All right, what other stuff we got going on here? Vachi Gaming says, at this moment in time, who is your top 5 players in that the Jets should target in this draft? All right, so I'm going to spin this a little bit differently because I'm going to say quarterback at 2, but I don't know if that's necessarily who we should, target per se. Let's say Wyatt Davis is one I think the Jets should target. I think the guard from Ohio State is going to be huge. I like an edge rusher, Joe Tryon, in like the end of the 2nd, 3rd round, I think is someone I'd look at edge-wise. Asante Samuel Jr. J.C. Horn. There's a few names that I would throw out there. So it's tough because you don't really know where you're picking from. So if you're saying 2, it's quarterback for me. If you're saying 23, different answer. 34, totally different answer. Matt, what do you think? Who are your top 5 players that you're kind of looking for in the draft? Maybe should I spin this to like just a like actual legitimate top 10, like who you would take? Like maybe we're saying Fields, Wilson, Trey Lance, and then it's like Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, like that kind of like top 5. Like that might be sort of how I lean ish.
Okay, so you want to do it like that? Top 5 players that I would take at 2. Wilson, Fields, Lance, I guess Sewell, and then Devonta Smith 5. So I flip-flopped the last.
That's not too bad. I took Jamar Chase.
Oh, you did?
Devontae Smith. So slightly different. Devontae Smith, like Jamar Chase could be such a gamble. Like I think he looks more of the prototypical receiver than Devontae Smith, but missing the whole year like can't be understated. So Devontae Smith in place of Chase is not, doesn't affect me one way or the other. I think it makes a ton of sense. Greenbean, what about you? What would be your top 5 players?
Well, let me try to do this. Like the top. Let's see our first draft picks. What I think can really happen. Like
Greenbean, your tight end just got murdered.
Yeah, you're about to see a hit on a tight end.
Got murdered?
Just got smacked. Oh man.
Oh, yeah? How do you handle it?
He's still down.
Usually tight ends get right back up. It's another reason I like him. Did he get back up?
No, maybe he's up now. They're showing the replay right now. He got cracked.
Who hit him?
They're definitely
Talk to
gonna.
me. I'm watching.
It's Rucker. You'll see it pop up. So he cuts in from the right side to the left and takes one on the chin from the safety. I mean, he's moving a little bit. They haven't shown like the actual live cam yet, so I don't know if he's actually back up yet. But that was a nasty hit. Like, he's getting ejected for sure.
It's straight up helmet to helmet.
Oh yeah, it's not even close.
Let me see. So Ruckert's going to get a concussion. That's a shame, man. Like Trey Sermon, he has a broken collarbone. He's at the hospital. That sucks because his draft stock was going up. And now if Ruckert goes down, his stock has been going up as well. It's a shame.
Yeah, let us know when you see that hit because it is.
Oh, he's toast.
Dude, like lights out.
He's toast.
Put him to sleep. Oh, man. That sucks because that's if you're losing your running back and now your tight end now. Like Fields is playing with 2 arms tied behind his back. He's got some broken ribs.
Yeah, totally. Let me see a zoom. I just saw the hit. That's, poof. He led with the crown. I don't know. Did he hit him in the face mask, though? Like
he definitely. Yeah, it was like face mask and then like chin. It was all head.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, that's terrible. He's got a concussion. He's concussed, as they say.
Oh,
what a bummer.
Knocked the F
Seriously, man.
I think it hits him twice, like it rebounds.
And he got up and did the, you're safe. Dude.
Like, at least he's walking around, dude. He got
in big trouble.
Yeah, they're like, yo, get the hell out of here.
Dude, the helmet his helmet went past the face mask and hit him in the actual flesh.
Yeah, it like shot up.
Wow.
like the bottom of the face mask was above his face. Let's see, who else we got talking about? Ben Keeley says, for me, Robert Saleh is the guy we need. Just the energy, passion, dedication he shows every game is just amazing.
Nah.
He's defense-wise, like,
damn it.
I wouldn't mind going his route because that means you're probably getting Mike McDaniel or who's the other guy out there? Mike McDaniel.
Or something like that.
What was it?
Matt LaFleur?
LaFleur, yeah, it was Matt LaFleur. So Matt LaFleur is the passing game coordinator and Mike McDaniel is the running game coordinator. And I would take either one of them as our OC with him coming in. Hashtag sports dropping in. Most teams don't prefer the defensive coaches. Yes, that is true. We've seen a very strong offensive side. Guys, if you have not tuned in to Hashtag Sports, they're a very good Buffalo Bills channel. I'm hoping to see them start crying because I don't want them to. I don't want them to win the Super Bowl. I think they have a really good shot.
Nope.
I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I maybe we should talk about that after this. But what do you guys think about Robert Saleh and his potential to be the Jets' next head coach? And then we'll get into some of the wild card games from yesterday and the weekend. Green Bean, I'll throw it to you first.
Well, Saleh's another one that his resume doesn't impress me all that much. The positive, though, is that the players who play for him absolutely love him. Like, so he's able to make, he's able to make lemonade out of lemons. You think he was able to keep a top 5 defense with a lot of injuries this year and all that kind of stuff. So I do like him. But again, man, I tend to not want guys who, in my opinion, aren't ready. You know what I mean? So he just seems like that to me. I think, I don't know. I don't love Saleh. I like a lot of things about him, but I don't love him as the head coach of the Jets.
Matt, what about you? What do you think about Saleh?
I think that if you can get him to come with Mike McDaniel or I said the wrong LaFleur. It's Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur.
Oh yeah, Matt's the coach in Green Bay. Mike is the one that's the passing game coordinator.
Dumbass. But I'd be very happy with him coming. I like his energy, and I think he gets a lot out of his guys. Like, they had a ton of injuries this year, and that unit played really tough for him. He has that like CEO mindset to me. So I think he would fill that role. And I'm a big fan of McDaniel more so, but I would be thrilled with Mike LaFleur as well as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I could not be upset with that. Let me just change the title of this. I'll change it to Wild Card Weekend. Bam. All right, so what did you guys think of Wild Card Weekend? Pat, I saw your super chat. I'm just waiting for it to kick over to the spot where I can throw it on. So we're going to talk about Wild Card Weekend first, then we're going to go over to the super chat. So, Matt, what were your thoughts from Wild Card Weekend? What were what's the biggest shocker, and what was your biggest takeaway, I guess?
The Browns win was the biggest shocker to me because they were screwed without their head coach. They only had one day of practice in before the game. So kudos to them, man. They played a really good game, and Pittsburgh didn't look good at all. A ton of mistakes early, and then was too little too late for them. And Rams defense looked really good. I think that's another one that's going to be a storyline. And I know we have hashtag in here, so I'll talk up the Bills, man. I thought they played a good game. The Colts hung tough, but the Bills were just the better team. And they're playing really good football. I think they are probably the best chance to beat Kansas City in the AFC. Maybe the whole thing, but I'd be surprised if they do. I really think Kansas City gets back there. But I think the Bills have the best chance to dethrone them as the AFC champion.
Yeah, I went into a playoff pool, and one of the things we were talking about was like, okay, shit, like I like the Bills a lot. I shouldn't say I like the Bills a lot. I like how they built their team. I think they're a really strong team, and I think they have a really good shot to win it all this year. I'll say this. I think it's going to come down. I took the Chiefs in the Super Bowl from the AFC side. I took the Packers on the NFC side. I took the Packers winning it. Now, the only reason I did that is because it's really tough to repeat, so I don't think the Chiefs are going to repeat, and I'm hoping that with the way I did it was I thought that since the Chiefs had the bye week, at least the Bills had one more game to potentially flub it up, and they actually almost did, at least to like a certain extent. I like the Bills a lot. I think they are going to be a really good team. They're going to be really hard to deal with. I hope we steal Brian Daboll from you, and I want to take Ken Dorsey as my goddamn OC, and then you guys can go cry, and then I hope Josh Allen reverts back to like inaccuracy, and Diggs just like cries and wants out and all that good stuff. But yeah, no, I agree. I think the Bills were impressive. I thought the Browns beating the Steelers. Wow, who would have thought that? At least the way they did. They went up 28-0 real quick, like in the first 10 minutes. The first play of the game, there was a fumble for a touchdown. So those were shocking to me. It was nice seeing Seattle lose, I think. I love hashtag says love you too, Ryan Sheesh. I love you, Mario and Paul. You guys are awesome. I would say I had told my friend the other day that I thought Seattle was going to be one and done. They're getting bounced from the playoffs real quick. And he's like, dude, you don't think they could beat the Rams with Goff, or you don't think they do this, or you don't think they do that? And I was like, I mean, I could see it. I'm just so sour on Jamal Adams. I just want them to lose, and I think they have a bad defense. And like for that to happen, I was like, screw everyone. I hate the Seahawks right now. Green Bean, what were your takeaways from Wild Card Weekend?
Yeah, I think if the Bills lost and Seattle lost, that would have made my weekend. I was really looking forward to the Browns game, but admittedly, I fell asleep before it started. So I don't know what that says about me as a human, but it's the truth. So I watched the Bears game, which was a snooze. I watched the Bills game, which was a very good game. I agree with what Matt said. They were just a better team. I was really pulling for the Colts to pull it out there, get in field goal range and at least tie it. It didn't happen. So here's the positive spin to all this. I hate the Browns. I hate the Bills. I don't like that they're winning. It's just really cut and dry for me. But I will say at least it's on the refreshing side of things. Teams like the Steelers are gone. Get out of here. Which I hate the Steelers too. And I'm tired of them winning. So at least there's that. So who do I hate less? That's what it boils down to for me. I do think, like Matt said, the Bills have probably the best shot of beating the Chiefs. I don't think they do. And I don't hope they do. I'm hoping the Bills get bounced this week. But dude, they're playing good and you can't take that away from them. And I agree with Ryan. I mean, as I watch Dable, I did, obviously my research on all of our head coaching candidates. And like I said, he's the one that when I look at his resume, makes sense to me to get a head coaching gig. He's steadily increased in his effectiveness, learning these positions as different positional coaches and offensive coordinator, first with the Browns and, Miami and all that. So I like him. And I would just like to say that the Bills are making me unhappy, but I am happy as shit that the Seahawks got bounced one and done. That makes me very happy. I love Jamal Adams sucking. I love that the trade doesn't look like it had any meaningful impact to their season because they're sitting home like everybody else. So I like that. So I think it was a hit and miss weekend for me. I'm looking forward to this week's games. They're good-looking games, man. So I'm excited about it, coming up.
Shaun Wade getting thumped by Devonta Smith. Just gave up a huge pass along the sidelines. So not looking good for Shaun Wade. Do you think this – well, I won't get into the whole, will this hurt his draft stock because we got a few super chats to get into. Pat dropping in saying, would you guys swap with the Falcons to get their second-round pick this year and first next year and take either Fields or Wilson – with the fourth pick and then trade Sam for a third to San Francisco? Would you trade Sam and a third to San Francisco for their first? If we really, really have equal grades on Wilson, Fields, and I would say Wilson, Fields, and Sam, the only way I trade down to 4 is if I don't care if I have Sam starting next year, Fields starting next year, or Wilson starting next year, because God forbid all 3 quarterbacks go in the top 3, you can't roll that die. Mm-hmm. Now, that said, if you get Fields or you get Wilson at 4, and you get so now you have 3 first-round picks next year. You get the extra second-round pick this year. That would be awesome. So that would be the only way I would trade down in that situation. Sam and a third for San Francisco's first all day, 100%. Matt, what do you think?
A third.
I would not move back. I'm deathly afraid of moving back if the plan is still to take a quarterback, which it has to be in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Jeez, man. Yeah, I still wouldn't do it because there's still the fear that someone could trade up to 3 and take whoever isn't taken at 2 by the Falcons. So mm-hmm. I think you're playing with fire, man. Don't do it. Just take whoever you like best at 2. Let's not make this more complicated than it has to be.
Now, what about trading up with Sam? I would assume you'd probably actually I shouldn't assume. What do you think of trading Sam in a third to get the San Francisco first, which I believe is sitting somewhere around 15?
I would say I would do it. I would definitely do it. So it's Sam and a third to get the San Francisco's first round pick, which is what, 13?
Let me pull up. I'm not talking out my ass right now. I think it's in the top 15. I know that. 12. It's 12 overall. Holy smokes! I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would do that in a second. I don't think San Francisco does it though.
No way. Never happened.
Green Bean, what do you think about trading down with the Falcons, getting their second-round pick this year or first next year, taking one of the quarterbacks at the 4th slot, and then trading Sam and a 3rd to San Francisco for their first?
Yeah, well, here's on point A. I think the quarterbacks are more than likely going to go the first 3 picks. That's what I see happening. I think it's too risky. The only thing could be maybe Sewell going in there to, Miami. But I think I think, like you guys said, it's too risky if you really want one of those quarterbacks. And even if you have Justin Fields and Wilson, what are you guys laughing at? What happened?
It was like a half second of you being robot. And like Matt and I caught it. I was like, I wonder if this is just me hearing this or if it's like both of us. No, it's all right. You sound fine now.
Okay, good. I wonder what the hell that is. That's really becoming bothersome to me. So I'd say, like, if you really have Fields and Wilson, pull
the mic away from your face. Maybe that's what it is. I'm trying to like watch you as stuff happens. Pull the mic a little bit away from your face, and then have these 2 dots facing away from you. So I'm about a foot away from my mic right now. Maybe try that, because it seems like it's when you're getting like closer to the end of the microphone that it starts going like Mr. Roboto.
Yeah.
Mr. Roboto.
Yeah. How about now?
You sound fine.
How are we doing now?
You're good. You're beautiful.
Yeah. I don't want to talk anymore. I feel embarrassed.
No, you sound fine. Like legitimately, like 98% of your like talking has been fine. It's like the one-off like rah, 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 and then it like makes me giggle and Matt giggle, and then like the chat might laugh a little bit. But go on.
So
sorry.
Some no name says it seems to be when I get excited, when my hands start moving. So like I said, if you is it back?
All right. No, you're fine. You're good.
If you like those quarterbacks equally the same, you don't care which one you get, maybe, but I still think it's too risky. Somebody's going to leapfrog you when Wilson is sitting there at 3. They're going to see the opportunity and just jump over you and get there. So if you really want a quarterback, I think you just don't do that. You just don't. Now, if you, like you said, if you're like, hey, Sam Darnold is fine, we're totally fine, absolutely. Jump back to 4 and jump back again, man. Get a bunch of stuff. But as far as using Sam Darnold and a 3rd to get a top 15 pick, I don't see it. I just don't think it's enough. Nobody's going to do that. Sam Darnold is a reclamation project, in my opinion. I don't think anybody's trading for him to start him this year. I think it's going to be like to sit for a year behind somebody. So I don't think that's realistic. Now, I would do it. I would do it without even questioning. I'd trip over myself to do it. But so I don't think that they will. Now, using our 2nd first and Sam Darnold to get to 12, I think maybe that's realistic. I think you could pull something like that off. And I would do that too, quite frankly.
Yeah, so that's an interesting topic, I guess. We'll get our thoughts real quick on that. Would you trade the 23rd overall pick and Sam to get into the top 12? I guess it depends what you kind of view Sam as. Let me pull up the draft value chart, just to sort of get a figure on what that would be. So, where am I going here? Jesus Christmas. Okay, NFL draft value chart. So the Jets are currently picking 23rd, so that is worth $760. So you're looking at like $1,200 to get up to the top. So what is that? 250. It's like 500 points.
What's our third worth?
It's about 500 points worth. So it's basically our 2nd round pick. You're saying Sam is a 2nd round pick to get up to the top 12. I don't think I would do that. I think I would rather get the 2nd for Sam and sit at 23 than move up into the top 12, unless there's like an elite like player you really covet. I would rather get 2 guys instead of 1 guy for Sam. Matt, what do you think?
Jesus, Devonta Smith just got his 3rd touchdown of the night. By the way,
Jesus Christ, is he over 200? He's got to be over 200 yards now. He was at like 172 and 2 touchdowns like 5 minutes ago.
Unbelievable what he's doing. Sorry, well, what are we The Sam Darnold.
Oh, I just watched it. Oh, he's easily over 200. That was like a 50-yard touchdown, 40-yard
Sam
touchdown. Jesus Christ!
and
All right, sorry.
it's Darnold in a third to get into the top. What 12?
Sam Darnold. Well, no. Would you trade 23 plus Sam Darnold to get 12?
Yeah.
That is saying that Sam Darnold is worth approximately 500 points in the trade value chart, putting him at about an early second round pick, like only 5 picks below like the Jets' second round pick.
Yeah, I would. I think that's fair.
You would trade up?
Yep, me too.
And I would do it. Yeah, sure.
Who would you take, Matt? Who do you take at 12 in that scenario?
Oh man, so many options. If Devonta Smith is there, maybe you'd have to consider taking him.
100%. I don't think he's getting past the Giants, and the Giants pick 1 pick ahead of him. Like, I think the Giants are going receiver early on. Maybe Waddle's there. Like, I think Chase is the first one off the board. I think Devonta Smith is probably second. You don't want Waddle? I don't know. I don't want a receiver in the first round this year. I think there's so many that are hitting free agency, and we have so much money. I think that would be the route I'd want to go. Multiviles says, quick question. Just got home from work and got to be in at 7 a.m., but would you guys rather sign Will Fuller or trade a mid-round pick for Odell Beckham Jr.? I guess I would prefer Will Fuller and then allow Joe Douglas to continue to build this team. The OBJ thing, I don't think his personality drives well with what Joe Douglas wants to build in this organization. As much as I like OBJ, I liked OBJ like 3 years ago. Like, I don't know how much OBJ is OBJ at this point in time. Will Fuller coming off a really good season. Now he's going to be suspended, I think, for the first game or two of next year due to like performance enhancing substances or something like that. Green Bean, would you take Will Fuller as a free agent or trade a mid-round pick for OBJ? Now, keep in mind, OBJ, you're getting a nice contract with the trade, so there's that to kind of think about too.
Yeah, it's a good contract. I agree with you that I just don't see OBJ as the kind of player Douglas is trying to bring in. I mean, he just spent some time getting rid of his Trumaine Johnsons, his Darryl Roberts and Jamal Adams and those types of guys. I just don't see it. I think I would just rather Will Fuller. And don't forget, OBJ has that. He tore his ACL this year. Was it ACL or I think it was his ACL. And that's not, I don't know. That's not, that's a major reconstructive surgery. So we don't know. I mean, a lot of players are coming back. There's no reason to think he won't come back, but it's still an added question mark to it. In addition to him not fitting, I just don't think it's something that we would do.
So it was a torn ACL.
I don't know. I don't see it.
Torn ACL as of October 26th is when that happened. So he'd be back. He'll be healthy in time for that, but it's still, a torn ACL is a torn ACL. Matt, what would you think? Will Fuller in free agency or trade for mid-round pick for Odell?
This is going to come off like a dick answer, but I don't mean it that way. I want no part of either one, to be honest with you. The big thing is neither of these guys can stay on the field. Odell Beckham,
right,
on a time, and Will Fuller played 11 games this year, 11 games last year, 7 the year before that, 10 the year before that. Like, neither of these guys ever play. So there's so many other guys that I would rather than either of those two guys. So I'm going to have to pass on both.
Yeah, I would rather use a higher pick on Chris Olave than sign Will Fuller because he's going to get a pretty decent deal, probably for a 1-year contract, I would think. I would rather – honestly, I think I would rather bring back Perriman than bring in Will Fuller because I think you'd get him for a cheaper contract, even though Fuller's definitely the better, more consistent player, I'd say. Don't do this to me. We got a minute left.
Wait a minute.
I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen what's happened, but Matt's got his hands on his head right now. Oh no!
Somebody
I know
in the chat
exactly.
just said something alarming.
Yep. Wyatt Davis is down, holding his left knee. He's not moving. Oh shit.
Oh no, man.
Well, maybe we could get him in the third. Bright side, guys. Glass half full. Yeah. Come on.
The best
that
guard
sucks.
in the draft just went down with tore his knee.
Oh, really?
Oh man, what? Let me see what he is.
I think it.
You see,
Wyatt Davis.
Wyatt Davis is a. What year in school is he? That's what I'm trying to figure out. 17.
All right, so
18,
listen,
19,
Ryan, I got to
20.
tell you something. No.
Yeah, go for it.
So I am going to peel off from this live stream in 1 minute. I'm going to head over to Green Bean Jets fan, and we're going to hold a truncated 10 o'clock mock. So if anybody wants to do that with us real quick, and then we're going to come right back. So tonight's theme is no trades, and that's in the spirit of expeditiously getting through it, see what we can do by just sticking to where our picks are and do that. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head over there to Green Bean Jets fan on YouTube and do the 10 o'clock mock, and I'll see you guys in just a little while. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you want to check out Green Bean's 10 o'clock mock, you can head over to his channel. It is listed in the description down below. Matt and I are going to be hanging out here watching the game, kind of answering your questions, and then Green Bean will pop back in if he's ready to come back, at some point in the stream. So Green Bean, thank you so much.
We're only at the half, right?
Yeah, no, we got some time. You got plenty of time.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Green Bean.
So thanks, guys. I'll see anybody who wants to go over there. Over there, you'll be a part of my virtual war room, and if not, I'll see you when I come back. Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Matt.
Take it easy, brother. All right, now watch this. This is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to remove our panels. I'm going to add the big panels. I'm going to wait for Green Bean to go away. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually delete these. I'm going to delete the names. And then I'm just going to throw our faces over top of it.
Perfect.
See, this is the behind-the-scenes stuff that you guys do not get to see on a daily basis.
Beautiful.
This is all like hidden camera work, and you may not know this, but Matt and I aren't actually in the same room. We are at different parts of the United States right now. All right, so zoom window's got to go down to Mia. Oh shit, what did I just do? I just did something stupid. All right. That goes down to there. This goes down to here.
Oh, cropping too. I like this. This is a nice behind the scenes tour.
Right? Like this is how the magic kind of happens here. And I'm gonna blow Matt up right there, get him kind of centered, and then whoop, friggin' hide all that. Bam! Now we got ourselves a pretty good looking thing. All right, now Ryan's back. See, this is something I probably should have set up before the game, so that way I'm not like trying to do this midstream and everyone's like, "Oh, what the hell are you guys doing? This isn't what we signed up for." Or we got some guys in the middle being like, "How the hell did you do that?" It's certainly possible as well. All right, come on, Ryan. Bam. Pull it over. All right, cool. And we're back. So let's see. We just answered. He says, "Hey guys, great job. Would you? Sorry, John with the super chat. Hey guys, great job. Would you really consider keeping Darnold and draft around him? I can't lie. Some of those late season turnovers were even more disturbing than usual. What scares me about Sam is that he just has so many flaws that have been consistent from his time at USC to now, and I don't know if those are fixable or not. Like, these are things that we saw pre-Adam Gase, and then he just sort of regressed under Adam Gase. So it's not that I don't like Sam. It's not that I don't want to see him do well. It's not even that I don't think he can do well. It's that his contract's coming up, and that the Jets have the number 2 overall pick and have our pick of anyone but Trevor Lawrence. So would I build around Sam? If Douglas and the coach believe it, I can get behind it, because trading at a 2 is super attractive and you instantly pump a ton of talent onto this team. But I just don't see it happening. I think if you get a new head coach, you got to get the new quarterback. Matt, what say you?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the way that I would word it is his flaws were amplified this year, and they were amplified under Adam Gase. Like, I think Jeremy Bates is not a good offensive coordinator, but to his credit, he was able to work around some of the flaws with Sam. And then just the regression really that we saw this year is just something that I personally wasn't expecting. We could have this conversation. Like if the Jets somehow still went 2-14 and Sam Darnold had comparable numbers to what he had last year, then this is a real conversation to have. But he was statistically the worst quarterback in the league this year. It was bad. He was throwing for 160 yards a game. There were multiple games in a row where he wasn't throwing any touchdown passes. And like Joe Flacco, we said it earlier in the stream, but Joe Flacco looked like the much better quarterback between the two. And if you're picking second overall and are staring Justin Fields or Zach Wilson in the face, then I don't see how you don't take one of those two kids.
Yeah, you have the 32nd ranked quarterback over the course of the last 3 seasons. You have the second overall pick. Don't overthink this. Like I think that's where we're both at. Ryan says Jamal needs surgery on both shoulders and his hand. They should probably operate on his brain too, because he threw away a huge payday here in New York to go out and get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. He can go kick rocks. Yeah, I don't know. Look, he needs surgery. I feel bad. It sucks. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. But like, if Jamal Adams has to like wipe his ass with single ply instead of 2-ply for a little bit, I wouldn't be upset either. Like fuck that guy.
Just minor inconveniences. I don't want to see anyone hurt, and surgeries and stuff like that. Like that's tough. But if I don't know him trying to light a cigar the wrong way, that I could see more of that. We like that.
Let's see. We got Chris Bucco. I apologize. I was not able to get it on the screen. I don't think. Actually, hold on. Is this no? It's not an option. Okay, sorry, I can't get it on screen. He says he's still Team Wilson, no matter what happens. No matter what happens this game. I'm not against Zach Wilson. I was definitely more of a prisoner of the moment last game with Fields, like sort of confirming why he's the number 2, overall quarterback. This is going to be a really tough process for Joe Douglas, and I don't envy him, and I'm glad I'm not in his position right now. I wouldn't be upset with Wilson. I think the concerns that I would have is the 2 torn labrums, the hand. Like, could these things potentially like creep back up later on? Like Fields, I've seen his toughness. Like, it's not. I don't know. Fields to me, I feel like is a bigger version of Russell Wilson, and if you can get that, I think you should sign up for it. It's just a matter of if they really think the processing power isn't there. Like if he's slow on his reads, that could be concerning. I don't know. Matt, what about you? You're still Team Wilson, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm really, and I just want to keep reiterating this because I feel like in the age of Twitter and everything changing, like either one or the other, which I don't think is fair. I like both players. I like Wilson a little bit better. And the reason for that is I think his flaws are more fixable than Justin Fields. For instance, I think Wilson gets in a bad habit of trying to force balls because he's really good at escaping the pocket and like extending plays and stuff like that. He just has a little bit of Brett Favre tendency sometimes. And you're like, well, why are you trying to force that ball? Which I think that is more fixable than the slow progressions. I would be completely fine if Justin Fields is the pick. I would understand it. I personally would take Zach Wilson, but that doesn't mean that Fields isn't a good prospect also. I really don't think you could go wrong either way.
Yeah, you brought up a good point because a lot of people are like, oh, you said this or oh, you said that, and you're rolling with that. Like, no, like if we get Wilson, I'm hyped on Wilson. If we get Fields, I'm hyped on Fields. If we get Trey Lance, I'm hyped on Trey Lance. Like I could work up a story for anyone. I would say if I'm ranking them, Fields has been the steady number 2, so that's kind of why I'm sort of keeping him there. Wilson had an awesome game against UCF. And would I be upset with him? No, I would not be. So a whole bunch of really good stuff there. Jamie says, how much do we want Deshaun Watson? We haven't really had a chance to talk about this, so we'll have to bring this up with Green Bean at some point too. Matt, what did you think of the Deshaun Watson trade rumors, and what are the chances the Jets get him? And how badly do you want him?
I do want him really badly. And I hate the notion of that the Jets can't trade for him because they have so many needs. Like a 25-year-old top 5 quarterback doesn't fix so many of those problems. And they still also would have the $80 million in cap space because he's only going to cost you $15 million for next year. And then, it gets bumped up to the higher 40s or high 30s and low 40s. But that's what the going rate for these quarterbacks are. And he's in the prime of his career. He would be tremendous for the Jets if only they didn't draft a safety 6th overall in 2017. We wouldn't have to talk about this right now. But with that being said, he's had success in Houston carrying that team pretty much since he's a rookie. And you could still build around him and have draft assets and free agent money. So I think there is a way that you can do it. I would do both first round picks, a third this year, and I don't know, a second next year. The thing that doesn't make sense to me is the trade packages that have Sam Darnold involved in it, because I think if they're trading for the number 2 pick, like, why are you going to take on Sam Darnold? You're going to take your quarterback there.
The only thing I could see them doing is if they like Sam. Like, if that's the guy, like, hey, we like what we've seen out of him. Again, doesn't make sense. I feel like you would take Tua over Sam just for the pure, duration you have them on the rookie contract. So if they're taking the second pick, I would think they're drafting the quarterback. If they take the second pick and they're taking Sam, that means they're trying to flip either Sam or the number 2 pick for more draft picks. Basically what we would be doing. So I'm with you. I don't think Sam makes a lot of sense to get traded there. I think we'd have to give up a first, like both firsts this year. I would give up the Seattle first next year. I think I would give up 3 first-round picks for Watson if I had to come down to it, because I think I could trade Sam for at least a second, and then I can kind of, like, if you're telling me, hey, would you trade your first overall pick in 2020 plus Jamal Adams for Deshaun Watson? Yes, I would. 100%. And we got 2 firsts and a third and a safety for Jamal. Like, that's a lot. Like, I would give up, I would give up 3 firsts for Watson if they didn't take Sam, or I would give up Sam plus these 2 firsts to get Watson, because like you said, it's going to solve a ton of problems. Like, you have an accurate quarterback, you have a guy that's mobile, you can go around. Not to mention, you have guys that want to play with Deshaun Watson, like, will legitimately come here because they like him. Brandon Marshall's going to come out of retirement. Like, did you see it? He threw the helmet on. He's just like, I'm coming there if you get Deshaun Watson. I love it. I love Deshaun Watson. I'd be very, very high on getting him here. And I wasn't high on him coming out of the draft either. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not really looking at a quarterback. I drank the Jets Kool-Aid, and I was like, all right, let's look at the 2018 draft. Let's look at Baker. Let's look at Rosen. Let's look at Darnold.
Yeah, we were all suckers.
Oh, God, I just got hoodwinked. That's why I don't want to screw this up this year. Like, I think that's my biggest thing. Like, at least with this pick, we could trade down. Like, if we're not making the quarterback, we still could get some nice benefits out of it. Where, like, when we passed on Hackenberg, we took a strong safety, and then, ugh.
But that's another thing, too. I feel like I get the people who want to trade down and say, oh, what's the worst that can happen? You could always take the quarterback next year. I feel like that's similar to the 2017 scenario, because let's say, okay, let's play the game. Let's say they trade out of 2, and then they end up rolling with Sam Darnold. He's really not that good. They go 5-11. Now you would have to trade up to get your next quarterback, and you start the whole process over again because you had to give up 3 second-round picks to move up to get your guy in 2018, where you're sitting at the number 2 pick with your choice of 2 really, really good quarterback prospects. Like, that's what I mean by don't make it complicated on yourself by moving out of the pick or saying, oh, let's play this game next year. Like, there's very few times you're going to have a top 2 pick. Like, that's why I was so critical of the Giants for taking a freaking running back in the top 2. Like, dumb. But it's, I don't know. I think it's obvious. I wouldn't do anything else other than take a quarterback.
Yeah, I think quarterback kind of has to be the selection that early on. While I'm sitting here, I'm going to change this to half because we are at halftime now. And then I got to drag this over. Man, I got to make a little, like, thing so that way it doesn't get bounced all over my little screen. Bam. Half. All right. So Mumtaz comes in with a super chat, says, Todd McShay said his roommate, Joe Douglas, they roomed together in college, will not draft a quarterback, and I am okay with Sam, or he says, I am okay with Sam. If Fields doesn't improve today, his last 3 or 4 games, he would have sucked. If you're not sold on Justin Fields prior to these 2 games, like that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't think either of these 2 games should be too crazy overanalyzed. Like, if he comes out, last game was nice because he put on a clinic against Clemson. He came back from like an injury that's clearly affecting him today. So that meant more to me. This game right now, like Alabama doesn't have a great offense. Like I can look at Fields right now and I can say, okay, he's clearly not 100%. Like it doesn't seem like they're letting him let it rip down the field. But I can understand the thought of the Jets keeping Sam. I saw that report as well with Todd McShay. If that's the case, there is no way the Jets make a pick at 2. I think we trade down to 4, and then we trade down again to like 8, and we're just going to stockpile draft picks. And if there's someone you like that falls to you at one of those picks, pull the trigger. I will root for Sam like all hell if we decide to roll with him, because I do really like him. It doesn't feel like that's the option we're going to go.
It's super risky. Like that's the thing I think we have to realize. I really think McShay was doing his buddy Joe D a favor and just throwing a smoke screen out there. Like last year, if you remember, he said the Jets were taking a wide receiver. Look how that went.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, the last 3 or 4 games haven't been good, but at the same time, like he's very obviously playing hurt tonight, and he's playing against a team that's going to have how many NFL guys drafted in this draft class? Like
in the first round, you're talking like Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Waddle. Now Waddle's not playing right now. Mac Jones could go in the first round. That whole offensive line, Leatherwood is not like that could potentially be like probably second round, but it could be a first round pick. Like there are a lot of studs on that Alabama team.
Right. So it's more complicated. I think some people was last week. I think some people were too reactionary to last week, and I think some people are too reactionary to this game. I think you have to look at the whole body of work, and I think his body of work's been fairly solid. I think you can make a legitimate case that Wilson is your second quarterback over Fields. If you said that 2 weeks ago, everyone would have said you're nuts. Fields just put off this unbelievable performance against Clemson, and then now it's all in the chat. All Fields sucks. Just take Penny Sewell and roll with Sam Darnold, who is the 32nd best quarterback in the league this year.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly how I'm feeling. Multivials coming in with a super chat saying, first, Matt, thanks for the follow on Twitter, brother. Second, starting lineup, quarterback, Zach Wilson. Running back, Aaron Jones. Wide receiver 1, Mims. Wide receiver 2, Ross or Robinson. Wide receiver 3, Crowder. Tight end, Ertz. Head coach, Brian Daboll, the Bills OC. I would sign up for that all day. Now, that being said, I don't want to pay that much for Aaron Jones. Like, I would like to go running back by committee there. I know Matt feels the same way. Let's see. Mims as 1. I would think Robinson would be 1. Ross, I don't know if... Mims to me right now is wide receiver 2. I do think he has the ceiling as a wide receiver 1. I think if you get the Bills OC, I think there's a good shot at the Jets getting Curtis Samuel, especially if they bring in Ken Dorsey, because Curtis Samuel plays very similarly, at least in my mind. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong, but he looks very similar to like Beasley, Diggs, Brown, where it's not like the biggest possession receivers, but are crisp route runners, can run and receive, are a little bit shiftier. I could see Curtis Samuel coming here if the Bills OC, if Daboll comes here. Yeah, I mean, other than that, Zach Ertz, as long as we're not trading for him, I'm cool with him and Herndon. Yeah, I like that. I would sign up for that right now if you told me that could be our starting lineup.
Yeah, the only thing that I'd maybe be critical of is paying Jones. I don't think I want to do that. I would rather pay the other Green Bay running back, Jamal Williams, for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, I think that that makes a lot of sense. John saying, John Perez says Plex is great. I guess when I had my screensaver up before he saw some of my little tabs, I love Plex for all my media. I have a bunch of movies and shows and stuff. Gotcha. Absolutely love it. Let's see what else is in the chat. Multivile says not a Fields guy. Brent Keeley saying Do you guys think we should try our best to bring in either a head coach or offensive coordinator that runs a West Coast system? I feel like the best offenses run this type of offense. I would like to run spread concepts with RPOs thrown in. I think when you have the dynamic of a quick pass, a handoff to the running back, or the quarterback running the ball, there's so many variables. Like one of the reasons I was high on Jamal Adams initially was because of the versatility. He can play corner, he can play safety, he can play linebacker, he can play edge rusher. Like that sort of versatility. If you're that kind of player and you're on the field and the other team has to take half a second, a quarter of a second, and think, okay, where's Jamal Adams? Okay, where's this player? Where's that player? Or is he going to hand it off? Is he going to pass the ball? Like any delay you cause, a slight half step by a pass rusher or a slight edge to a receiver over a cornerback. Like those sorts of things are huge, especially at the highest pinnacle of the game. Like that's why, steroids and that sort of stuff, or even like Deflategate. Like Deflategate is one of the weirdest examples that I think a lot of people get like they're like, oh, they were losing, the Colts were getting blown out. There's no way that game could have affected anything. Like that game, probably not. But how long were they doing that for? Because if you deflate a ball, now all of a sudden you're catching the ball a lot easier. You're holding on to the ball a lot easier because that's going to hug into your bicep. You're not fumbling the ball. You're able to grip the ball in a wet environment. Like when you are at the highest pinnacle of athletics, any edge or advantage, like in racing, if you try some new like fuel or you use more carbon fiber than you're allowed to use or anything like that. I don't know racing. But if you're trying to shave off weight, you're trying to do all this different stuff to make yourself better than your opponent. And I would like the RPO. Basically, that's where I'm rounding back to. I would like the RPO spread concepts. We've seen it work in the NFL. It's the fastest, transition for quarterbacks when they come in, I think.
I agree with you. And I think the good thing is that both Justin Fields and Zach Wilson look like quarterbacks who can run that kind of an offense. We've seen it. Both of them do that at college. They both are elusive enough to run it. Now I'm going to pump Wilson a little bit here. The reason why I would prefer him also is because the bigger arm. Yes, Field is probably better with the legs, and he does have a nice deep ball. He put that on display against Clemson, but something about like Wilson running around, getting outside the pocket, and just whipping the ball, 20 yards down the field at the flick of a wrist sounds super enticing. And I think if you draft Wilson and have Joe Brady as the head coach and Marvin Lewis as defensive coordinator, like that just sounds like so much fun. Like I don't know. I just want to have fun watching football again. And I'm trying to think of ways with the coaching hires and with the draft that we can make that possible. And sure, I'll be completely fine with Justin Fields being the pick, but man, I just want to have fun. And RPO offense and fast pace, that stuff is fun. So I'm with you on that.
Dude, when you watch like Josh Allen play, when you see Joe Brady and what he could possibly be running, I would love Joe Brady and Marvin Lewis as our tandem coming up here. Kind of take Brady under his wing. That was sort of the hope I was kind of going with. Like, oh, maybe we'll get Bill Cowher, and Cowher will take Brady under his wing, and then we'll bring in, some guy like on the defensive side or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm kind of right there with you. Benjamin dropping in says 3-round mock draft. Zach Wilson, then Wyatt Davis, then Asante Samuel in the second round. Then our second round pick, a trade from Sam to the Colts, Carlos Basham. Third round, Kenny Gainwell. Third round B from Seattle, wide receiver Sage Surratt. I have not watched a lot of Surratt, so I can't comment on him just yet. But man, if you could tell me Wilson, Davis, even if he has a torn ACL, at this point, God, I don't know if he may not be back for the start of the season. That's a big concern with Wyatt Davis.
Yeah, how long is that going to affect it? Well, how long does an ACL usually take to heal? 10 months?
I think it's 9 months. I think it's 9 months to 12 months, depending on the player. So, I mean, you're talking end of the season right now if it's a full year. So 3 months back puts you, October?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, no testing. I don't think he may not go in the first round.
Because of that. I really hope we find out that it's just a really bad sprain or something. Like, that would really suck if that happened. But if assuming health, I think this is a great mock draft. I love it. It addresses need. I think you get good value in Gainwell and Surratt in the 3rd round. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really like Asante Samuel. He's known as a man corner for sure, and I've always liked the man corner. Like ever since Revis and Cromartie, watching them kind of trail all over the field, I think that's really cool. Basham in the 2nd from the Colts is good value there. I love Kenny Gainwell as as a 3rd round running back. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes because he hasn't really played a whole heck of a lot the last year or so. Mumtaz, guys, love you, but saying that quarterback is not doing well because competition in NFL level is not very good. What's he saying? Guys, love you, but saying that quarterback is not doing well because competition is NFL level is not very good defense. Another guy said the same thing in the chat last time. 2 games he sucked before Clemson. Teams got highly rated defenses. So I think what he's talking about is Justin Fields and how. What was that?
And like again, playing against the quote unquote NFL competition.
I think that's what he's talking about. I think he's saying he was playing poorly against good ranked defenses. Now the Northwestern game I gave him shit for originally. He had a beat up, I don't know if it was a finger or hand that game, and he was missing Chris Olave. Like he was missing some pretty serious players on that team. And I'm pretty sure Northwestern is top 5 in terms of pass defense. So I don't know. You have to weigh things differently, I think. When you look at it, Fields has played more top 30 defenses over the last 2 years than Trevor Wilson has. And Fields has looked better against those defenses. So it's so weird to try and dissect these guys in terms of NFL level. And I don't know. How much do you think we overvalue the NFL level of competition at the college level?
I think it matters, but I'm going to repeat myself. I think you have to look at the whole body of work of what the quarterback did and some of their traits and what you like about it. Because they're still raw. You still have to mold them. You take what they're best at and still have to mold it a little bit.
I must have said Trevor Wilson because guys are giving me shit now. Trevor Lawrence.
But still, I think I don't know. You have to take some stock into it, but you have to look at their whole careers too. I don't know, because then I feel like you get into that conversation of you can't draft player X because they went to this school, and you're like, well, hold on, like they do this, and this well, and I think they could develop into a good player at the next level. So it's complicated. It's not so black and white.
Yeah, all I have to say is thank God I'm not the GM of the Jets, and Joe Douglas gets paid the big bucks to make this decision. But Mumtaz, you're right. I think the whole NFL level of competition is something that, if the guy doesn't perform, he doesn't perform, and you got to knock him for it. But I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the one making the decision here. Anthony dropping in says, whole chat was in on Fields last week. Now he's playing injured and he's Haskins 2.0. Dude, that's what we were saying. Like, Matt was saying that like just 2 seconds ago about how everyone's so high on Fields during the Clemson games because he's slinging the ball all over the place. Now he's legitimately playing hurt. Like, it's clear as day he's not healthy. And people are just ripping on him, calling him Haskins. From a personality standpoint, I like Fields a lot more than Haskins. I think Fields is an actual guy that you can pay a ton of money to, trust him with your franchise. I didn't see the same thing with Haskins. Now, that said, I don't know. Look, what do we tell the people in the chat what the hell they're thinking when they're comparing them? Like, they're so high last week and so low this week.
It's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't think he's Dwayne Haskins. I also don't think he's, the second coming of Jesus. I think he's a very good prospect who has had his ups and downs, like most college prospects are. Like, think about it. There were legitimate conversations in the chat that the Jaguars are going to take Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence because of that game. Like, this is the reaction. You just got to calm it down a little bit. And again, go back to the whole sample size of their career. I think he's absolutely someone who's worthy of a top 2 pick. If he does so happen to bust, or if Wilson or Lawrence do so happen to bust, then I guess so be it. But the chances of that happening, I feel like, are slimmer due to their overall makeup versus some of these other guys that we've been comparing them to. Like, he's not Dwayne Haskins. Like, Dwayne Haskins was a moron, and there was character issues with him the entire time. Justin Fields isn't like that. So if it doesn't work in the NFL, it's not going to be because of character concerns for Justin Fields.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, that just Haskins the whole time. Like, there's a reason he fell to pick 17 or whatever. Like, there was talk at the beginning of the season of him being the first quarterback taken. And they're like, oh man, is it going to be him? And then Kyler shoots up the board, and Kingsbury goes there, and he takes him. And then Daniel Jones going, 6th or 7th overall to the Giants? I thought Haskins was going there. I mean, I don't know. But he falls to the mid-teens. Like, that's the reason he fell. That's why he fell so far. Because he had the arm. He had the accuracy down the field, too. He just didn't have the mental makeup for it. Marcus Metcalf says, who is your number one head coach option, and what are the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator options for that coach? Which free agent receivers are more likely to be tagged? Okay, so for me, I want Brian Daboll. I would take Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator. So Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator of the Bills. Ken Dorsey, quarterback coach of the Bills. He has Josh Allen playing to an MVP caliber level. He was the quarterback coach for Cam Newton in Carolina when Cam played at an MVP caliber level. So I trust him with Fields or Wilson or whoever our quarterback is going to be coming in. Defensive-wise, I don't know. I mean, Aaron Glenn's a cool option, I think, because he's an ex-Jet. I think our secondary could use some help, so maybe a secondary coach. Jim Leonard from Wisconsin is not a name that I've heard connected to us, but it's someone I would really like to have brought in. And then as far as which receiver I think is most likely to get tagged, I could see Golladay getting tagged. If they don't want to lose him and they move on from Stafford, they could kind of hold him hostage. I know he's been trying to get out of there. I don't think Godwin's going to get tagged. I don't think Robinson's getting tagged. Corey Davis won't get tagged. Fuller won't get tagged. Samuel won't get tagged. I don't know. Juju won't get tagged. I don't know. We may not see any franchise wide receivers now that I'm kind of thinking about it. Golladay would be the only one I might give a shot to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would say none, but if I had to pick one, Galladay's probably the one that I would go with also. I like your options for head coach, OC, and DC. I'm going to go a different direction, though. I'll say Brady with I still really want Mike McDaniel to come over. I think he needs over run game coordinator. And then I would want to pair him with Marvin Lewis, someone who has the head coaching experience, and he can kind of help show him the ropes a little bit and focus on that defense. I know some people have soured on Joe Brady, but I really like what he did with the Panthers. The Panthers are one of 5 teams in the Super Bowl era to have 4 players over 1,000 scrimmage yards, and they were without their best offensive player in Christian McCaffrey this year. So I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Joe Brady is someone that I've really liked since the start of this whole process, dating back to mid-season mocks that we were doing. I really like Joe Brady, and he's done nothing short this season for me to change that tune. I would say Brady is probably number 2 for me, but I would say that I think it's less likely that he comes in just based on some of the characteristics that we were sort of looking for. Now, I would be all in on your coaching staff, 100%. I like the Marvin Lewis on the defensive side, especially if you get a young head coach in either Brady or even Kafka. I don't think Kafka's coming over. I'd be good with either one of those. New York Jets news. Our boy Jude Jets coming in with super chat. Jude, if you want to follow a good up-and-coming Jets YouTuber, he's a little bit younger, but Jude Jets knows his stuff. I follow him. Becca follows him. I know Matt and Greenbean follow him. He says, head coach Brian Daboll signed Joe Thuney, Robinson, Gus Edwards, and Cam Sutton. Draft Fields, Davis, Campbell, Jones via the New Orleans second-round pick. So Pat Jones. Sutton on a 1-year deal to let cornerback group grow. God, is there anything I don't like about Jude Jets? Because I would sign up for this all day. Thuney and Robinson, you're speaking my language. Now, I think it's probably a little less likely. If I'm looking at the Jets, I think we're getting one big time free agent, and I think that's going to be Thuney. Robinson, I love, would absolutely sign up for that. I'm thinking we're probably going to have to go with maybe a tier down realistically. Gus Edwards from Baltimore, I think makes a ton of sense as a stopgap for like a fill-in for what we're losing from Gore. I would still consider taking a running back at some point in the mid rounds, maybe, but maybe because you take Gus Edwards and you're happy with that, and Ty Johnson and P. Ryan, maybe you just roll with that by committee for another year or two. I don't think it's going to give us a very strong running game. I think we're going to be more pass heavy, which is, I'm okay with that. Yeah, that draft too, even Fields, Davis, Campbell, Pat Jones. He hit the nail like right on the head. My biggest issue would be possibly Wyatt Davis if he has a torn ACL. If the ACL is torn, I think we probably have to maybe adjust for that. But other than that, I like it. What do you think, Matt?
Can we get Drew to be a special advisor to Joe Douglas? Because this is perfect. I love it.
He's dialed in, like legitimately dialed in. Like this might be one of the better mocks I've seen thrown up. Not that I haven't liked all the other mocks that we've seen throughout this stream, but I do really like this one a lot.
I agree.
All right, let's see. I'm just going through the chat, seeing what we got. Multiviles bringing up a very good point. Kingsbury said since he was in college, he would take Murray with the number 1 overall pick. He's referring to a press conference that he had while he was the head coach. Was it Texas Tech, I think he was at? Yeah, he said Kyler Murray would be the number 1 overall pick back when he was coaching them then. That was during that season prior to him becoming the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. So they kind of tipped their hands there. What else we got? So what Ohio State quarterback has ever done anything in the NFL? Joseph, I understand your argument, but counterpoint, what quarterback from North Dakota State has ever done something in the NFL? Or like, what is it? Where did friggin' Allen go? Wisconsin? Was it Wisconsin or?
No, he went to Wyoming. Russell Wilson was Wisconsin.
That's true.
There was another good one. Texas Tech before Pat Mahomes.
See, like I don't think you can peg a school as being the detractor for a quarterback.
Yes.
Was that Waddle that just is in there? Is he actually running around now?
Yes, because I believe Smith went into the medical tent.
Oh, okay. All right. So Waddle's running around out there. All right. This is exciting. I like watching Waddle. I want to see where his game's at coming off the injury. Let's see. What else are we talking about in here? Finn McCory says in 20 years' time, when Trevor Lawrence is a Hall of Famer, we will look back at the Rams game and know that Braden Mann cost us Trevor Lawrence because of one tackle. Well, bright side of things, like we won 2 games, so we definitely wouldn't have got him. So I guess there's that. And realistically, like we should not have won the Raiders. We should not have won the Raiders game. We should not have lost the Raider game. Like that should have been a victory. Under any other defensive coordinator, you're playing prevent defense, and you still have another win on your board.
Waddle's hobbling off. Just after you mentioned him, literally plays after he's hobbling off.
I'm the fucking kiss of death. I'm talking up Wyatt Davis, boom, ACL injury or knee injury. Like Waddle, boom, knocked out. Like literally the first time I talked about Waddle, he got knocked out too.
Yeah. Why in this game? They're up 18 in the third quarter on cruise control right now.
They should be pounding the rock with, if it's not going to be Najee, like if you want to rest his body, throw in the backup and just keep running him straight up the. God damn, Waddle. Oh man, yeah, he's limping good. What did he had the ankle injury, right?
Yes, and he was. It looks like that's still bothering him clearly because he was very gingerly walking back to the field, to the sideline.
Yeah, he's got to go back and just rest for the combine because you have to be able to show you're healthy, I think, for that point in time. The combine, I think, is that end of February or beginning of March?
I think it's usually the beginning of March, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me pull it up real quick. I think the Senior Bowl's in January. Let's see, 2021 NFL Combine. they probably don't have the date set yet because no one has any idea what's going on.
Right. Pretty sure it's usually March, if I remember. I don't know.
Let's see. 2020 Scouting Combine was March 8th through March 10th. So, yeah, beginning of March. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, Braden Mann costing us Trevor Lawrence. God, that's going to make me so sad if he goes on to the Hall of Fame. And then we just get stuck with, like, running it back with Sam. And then, like, we go into quarterback obscurity again. And there's so many bad things that could really happen.
The sad thing, it really makes no sense that the Jets beat the Rams with how good that defense has played pretty much. Well, all year long, they're number one defense. And then in the playoffs, what they did to Seattle. And then Cleveland, like the beatdown that they put on Pittsburgh over the weekend. It's like, how did that happen? How did the Jets win?
It makes you feel a little bit better about like the prospects of the Jets turning it around in just one season. Like this league is known as like any given Sunday you could pull off a victory, and I just don't. I don't think the Jets were a 2-14 bad kind of team. Like if you infuse this team with $80 million in salary cap talent plus 9 picks or 10 picks in the draft, and you're upgrading the quarterback, like the quarterback play we've had the last 2 years, whether you believe Sam Darnold can turn it around or not, the chances of us getting worse quarterback play is kind of slim. Like the Jets are going to be better next year. Now I said that last year because I didn't think Sam would fall off a map or fall off a cliff, but I really think that just a healthy quarterback, a different offensive system. Even if we have the same guys, I think we're a better team purely because we have an easier schedule next year.
Right. And that's another thing that I think we could absolutely get into right now is I think there's a confusion from some of the fan base who's like, oh my, like this team's 5 years away from being competitive. No. The NFL doesn't work like that anymore. You could turn it around in a year or two with a really good free agency and draft. And you like what Joe Douglas did in the 2020 draft, do that again with more picks and the free agency money. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be a 12-4 team or anything crazy, but look at the Miami Dolphins. Everyone said last year they were tanking. They were going to go 0-16 or whatever. They ended up 5-11. And then this year they were on the precipice of going to the playoffs. Like, am I going to say the Jets are going to go 10-6 next year? I don't think I could say that, but they're going to be a much more competitive team. I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to 2-14 either. So I don't think it's going to be this 4-year, 5-year rebuild either.
So want to play a fun game too? Because someone sent it to me via Instagram. I think it was last week, and I made a graphic for it for the stream last week. And it was talking about Seattle's first-round pick for next year because they're in a hard division. So they got the Cardinals. They got the 49ers, who should be better than they were this year. You got the Rams playing really good. Now, wow, that was a nice little shot. And sorry, I'm like half and half here. So let's talk about Seattle's schedule, and let's try and figure out if they're going to win these games super preemptively. And let's determine their schedule. So get this. They play their division, obviously. Then they're playing the AFC South, the NFC North, and then what are the other teams? The Washington football team is one of them, and the Saints are the other one. So their home opponents: Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, Bears, Lions, Jaguars, Titans, Saints. So Cardinals. Want to say they split the Cardinals? Division matchups? Just call it right down the middle, 3-3?
I'm good with 3-3. Give them the home wins and road losses just to make it easy.
Yep. Okay, so Bears in Seattle, probably a Seattle win.
Seattle win.
All right, so that's 4 wins. Lions at home for Seattle, probably a win. Okay, I thought this worked a lot better last year. Okay, so, Jaguars, probably a win. Probably a win. Titans, that's a toss-up to me. I think the Titans are a better all-around team and would beat the Seahawks on a neutral field, but it's in Seattle. I think I might go victory for them in Seattle with the Titans.
A victory for the Titans in Seattle?
A victory for Seattle against the Titans in Seattle.
Yeah, I would lean Seattle with that one.
Okay. Saints, I think Saints win that. Oh, actually, Saints without Drew Brees. Who knows? If they don't have Drew Brees, that team's totally different. Fuck! This is like, this whole, like, I was so excited for, like, the hard schedule they were going to first, and damn, this is, like, not working out the way I thought it would. All right, so they could basically run the whole. God damn it, they can win every single home game. That's 8 games potentially.
Where'd they go this year? 12-4.
I don't know.
They're not going.
I don't think they're
12-4.
going worse than. It's
10.
absolute.
Okay. So now we have to try and get some losses on the road. So we already said the division losses are going to be on the road. Packers, I don't think they're winning on the road. God, this whole schedule looks so wonky. Okay, so Vikings on the road. It depends what they wind up being. Like they were bad this year, but like I don't think they're supposed to be that bad. Like that sort of like seems like a fluke to me. Maybe not.
That's that team every year though.
It really is. Then you got the Texans. The Texans could be trading Deshaun Watson, and that totally changes this whole friggin' thing. And then the Colts. What happens with Phil? Why did I even do this? Why did I do this exercise? They're going to lose 4 games. They're going to go 12-4 because you got the Vikings, the Texans, the Colts, and the Washington football team. And the Washington football team is going to put pressure on Russell Wilson, so that's why you could give them like a shot, I guess. But you don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. The Colts, a Sam Darnold-led Colts, a Carson Wentz-led Colts, a Phillip Rivers-led Colts. Man, this is making me depressed. I can't look at this. I'm not looking at that right now because if I look at the Seattle schedule, I'm going to be sad. All right. Let's see. What else is in here? I thought I saw something pop up. Yeah. All right. So Joseph says, what if we kept Darnold, addressed interior offensive line with Thuney in free agency, trade out of number 2 to pick 5, between 5 and 10. So go back from 2 to 5 or 10. Gain at least an additional second this year and a first next year. So if I'm trading down, I'm making sure I get a second this year and a first next year for sure. That's like my bottom line. I don't think I trade down. I don't even know if I trade down with Atlanta to 4. I would probably want their first round pick next year or like a second and third this year. Like you're going to have to give me a lot to move down. And then he says draft Devontae Smith or Pitts, and then Najee Harris at 23. I think Matt and I are pretty much on board with not taking Najee Harris at 23. I would prefer to wait at least till the second round to pull the trigger on a running back. And even then, that seems a little early for how I would like this team to be built. Pitts, you could get me on board with. I think Pitts is that good that you could take him around there. Receiver-wise, what kills me is we don't – like the draft should happen before free agency because then you could just draft the best players and then plug in with the rest. Like at this point, if I'm taking Thuney in free agency, I'm already signing a free agent wide receiver. So like receiver in the top 10 doesn't seem as attractive to me. So if we're keeping Sam and we're trading down, I don't think there's an edge rusher that high that I'm overly in love with. Like maybe Kwity Paye, maybe like I would probably look at Patrick Surtain, the corner from Alabama. I would look at him and I would look at Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is the one that I would be looking at receiver wise. Man, I like Smith though too. It sucks that it depends what you spend in free agency on wide receiver, I think.
Oh, 100%. It's I have to see what the rest of the roster looks like in free agency. Again, this seems like a little bit of an overreaction to what we're seeing tonight also. Mm-hmm. I don't know, why are we making this so hard? Why? We have to keep having this conversation.
Dude, it's because we're hearing rumors of Sam Darnold possibly staying as a Jet. We're seeing Najee Harris tonight playing well. Devontae Smith, everyone loves. He's got 550 yards and a zillion touchdowns. Like, I don't know. It's the flavor of the week this week. That's exactly what's happening.
You're right. It's so broken record. So risky to bet on Sam Darnold going into it. But let's say, okay, let's play the game. I guess, yeah, you'd have to go offense heavy. I think if you're keeping Sam, like, I don't know if I wouldn't then be like, oh, by the way, we're going to now take a corner and an edge rusher with the picks that you trade back. Like, if you're going to keep Sam, then just go all balls to the wall on offense and pray to God it works.
Ooh, here's an interesting question. So trust Benny. I would assume
Okay.
you and I don't like this one, but either way, you guys think Joe Douglas would trade for Jalen Hurts and hire Doug Peterson. I don't know how much say Doug Peterson had in that draft pick because he didn't have player personnel control. So I don't know if he controlled the drafts or how that kind of went. That said, if you brought in Peterson, what would you have to give up to get Jalen Hurts? I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Hurts because we could take a quarterback at 2. So for me, I'm trading away maybe like the second-round pick and then considering like taking on one of their big salary like players to kind of eat the cap hit maybe. Or maybe you don't even do that. Like they're in such dire cap shape that like any move with them is so that way they could make other moves. And if the new head coach coming in does not want Jalen Hurts, it's not unreasonable to think Hurts couldn't be there next year or that Wentz could still stay the starter. The Eagles are in a weird fucking spot. Like I do not envy whoever goes into the Eagles coaching position because they don't have cap space. They have a quarterback controversy brewing, and it's going to be really hard to trade, I think, either one of those guys. Hurts is really, I guess, the most tradable if you're kind of stuck with Wentz. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking myself in circles here. What do you think?
Oh, here we go. You're gonna have a nice little Justin Fields run in a second.
Let's go. I didn't realize the score had changed to 38 either.
My thing is, and excuse me as I'm going to look up to watch the replay as it's and they cut out of it. Of course they did.
That's fine. I'm watching it right now. Wow, man, look at him go. He didn't look hurt at all.
No, yeah.
Wouldn't that be so exciting to watch our quarterback do that instead of Sam Darnold pretending to slide for 60 yards?
You're gonna like the next play.
Oh man, come on. Let's do it. All right, I gotta watch. I'm watching the highlight of the run again. Man, look at that little crossover. All right, so let's see. We got Fields in the shotgun set, 2 receivers to the top of the screen. He drops back, looks left, throws left, going off his back foot. Oh, nice little rainbow of a touchdown. Man, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. I keep saying that. I really think he's going to be the pick. I have a hard time thinking that he won't be given like all the. I mean, even if you look at the top guys, like Daboll, I think Fields feels like an Allen, big arm, can run like how we've seen, big body. Like Wilson for me is a little light. I'm a little worried about the injury history. Oh, man, I like Fields. I really do. Like,
and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I think that'd be a great decision at 2. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Man, that was nice. I don't even know where we were. Okay, Jalen Hurts, Peterson.
Oh, okay. They're going to give up on Jalen. I guess maybe if the new coach comes in and is like, we're sticking with Carson Wentz, then maybe you do move him. But they spent a second-round pick on him. How are you're going to tell me that he's worth more than a second-round pick now?
Was he a second or was he a oh, no, I'm thinking Jordan Love was the first-round pick, right? Okay. So yeah, Jordan Love was the first-round pick. So, so fuck that. No way. I'm not giving up a second-round pick for Jalen Hurts. Get the hell out of here.
No, that's what I mean. Like, what's his value at that point?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see enough of him this year to like really like love the guy. I was in love with like maybe the way he ran the ball, but I mean the last game he was under 50% completion percentage. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, no way. I don't trust him entirely as a passer. I would rather Fields or Wilson than trading for Hurts. And I think Peterson would probably go the same route if I had to guess. Just get the 5th year of that quarterback.
Of course, that's such a huge difference. You know, that 5th year option it's all the difference in the world. I think that's a smart play.
Ooh, here's an interesting question coming from Ben. Because of the way Big Ben played last night, do you think Sam to the Steelers is a real possibility? What are your thoughts on C.J. Mosley missing 2 straight seasons? So Sam to the Steelers, legit possibility. That's where I thought he would go first. And then I made a video where I said I think actually it might have been my mock offseason. I think I said something along the lines of like I think Sam's going to get traded to the Steelers because Big Ben's going to retire. And Steeler fans ripped me apart, like absolutely shredded. He's playing for 2 or 3 more years. I was like, look at his cap hit. Look at all the players you have up for contracts.
Can't throw the ball 10 yards down the field anymore.
Oh man, it's like I thought Ben would be done this year. For me, Sam to the Steelers if Ben is done makes a lot of sense because then you get a year to test him out with a good head coach in a system that has wide receivers, they have a running game, they have an offensive line, but then they have to free agents they have to pay. Juju Smith-Schuster, friggin' Villanueva, Bud Dupree. I'm pretty sure James Conner's a free agent. Like all these guys. Then TJ Watt is like a year or two around the corner. You're gonna have to extend him.
And they have the defensive tackle too.
Oh yes.
Come on. Oh my God, this is killing me.
Yep. The chat's gonna. Let's see if I can beat the chat from over the cap. There's a little lag, so maybe I'll get him.
How is it?
It's fuck. Oh, Hayward! Shit! Damn it, they beat me to it. I just got it up. So they're free agents. They have 26 free agents. Bud Dupree, Villanueva, Avery Williamson. Kind of a toss out, I guess. Juju. Chris Wormley actually has not played too bad. Who else is on here? James Conner. Yeah, look, they're going to be in a world of hurt because they're $21 million over the salary cap. If you cut Big Ben, you save $19 million, which basically gets you back to even. Now, if he retires, that's an entirely different issue, and they may actually have to pull. Let's see, 2020, $12 million roster bonus on third day for 2020 league year. All right, so we're gonna know real early what's happening with Big Ben because he's got a $15 million roster bonus due on March 17th. So in the event that, Big Ben will either have to retire or not play or something like that, or get cut. Otherwise, he's gonna get paid an extra $15 million. So we'll know well before the draft what's going on there. So that'll be interesting. And then as far as CJ Mosley missing 2 straight seasons, I am not real high on this. I am very concerned with CJ Mosley. I thought him missing an entire season was scary, and now missing 2 entire years and hearing rumors of him being wishy-washy on that spark, that fire to play. I think that's where you could determine that there are some interesting coaches on the defensive side of the ball, like a Staley or a Wink Martindale, that could come in and maybe light a fire under CJ Mosley and maybe get the most out of him. He's our biggest asset right now for the next at least a year, maybe 2 years. That contract was brutal. I don't know. What do you think, Matt? What do you think about Big Ben and CJ Mosley?
So Big Ben did not play a good. I mean, he threw for a ton of yards, but he threw like 75 passes in that game just about yesterday. I definitely think they need to figure out what the plan for the future is at the quarterback position. Mason Rudolph ain't it. So I definitely think Sam Darnold could be an option for them. And as far as it goes with Mosley, that does scare the life out of me. And on top of that, the Jets, he's not a movable contract. You can't do anything about it. You just got to suck it up and pray to God that he comes back and is 75% the player he was in Baltimore. And maybe Wink Martindale gets that out of him. Maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing if he comes in here and CJ Mosley's the CJ Mosley of old.
Yeah, that would, God, it's really that contract more than I think any other contract. The Johnson contract was really bad. The Bell contract, I think, was, it hurts because it didn't turn out well because Bell didn't play well with Gase. But I think the swing was right. I think bringing in a young offensive weapon when you have a ton of salary cap for a young quarterback made sense to me. So I'll still stand by that. But, man, the C.J. Mosley contract, at the time I was like, what are they doing? That's $17 million a year. I think the top paid linebacker at the time was $14 or $15 million a year. So we overpaid by $2.5 million. And then it made no sense to me. The Anthony Barr thing, I love that. And then it fucking went south real quick.
Well, the sketchy thing with that, I was intrigued with Anthony Barr, but then they wanted to play him out of position. I was like, well, this is going to be very bizarre. So maybe that was a blessing in disguise because that could have just been another Mike McCagnon whiff.
Yeah, he really hasn't done like crazy well. Um, Mateo Morales says, "Are we doing a giveaway tonight?" We could do a giveaway. Let's see. What do we got in the chat? We got just under 600 people in the chat right now, and we got 235 likes. So let's say at 300 likes, we'll give away a shirt. And then what do we want to do, Matt? What do you got going on? You got? Can I link them to your podcast and they follow your podcast, or like, how do we pick a winner for this raffle?
You could do that. I had a new podcast episode come out today.
Ooh, okay. So here's the deal. Once we get over 300 likes, we're gonna give this let's give this till 11:30. We'll give it to 11:30. Give you guys about a half hour to enter into the contest. You have to go to Matt O'Leary's page. It's linked down below in the description. You click on that, go to his most recent video, and leave a comment under it. Is it your most recent video, or is it just the podcast?
So I did 2 videos today. So there's the podcast and the Doug Peterson reaction. So which one do we want to do it on? The most recent one?
Let's do the most recent one. So that way it's like the easiest to kind of do. Actually, if you want to drop the link to it in the chat, I'll pin it and I'll put it at the top of the live chat. If you can copy and paste the link. I think it'll let you because you're a mod. I think other people aren't allowed to do it. So yeah, guys, once we get over 300 likes and we get to 11:30, we'll give away a Just End the Suffering shirt or one of the Division Rival shirts. If you guys haven't checked out one of the Division Rival shirts, they are so badass. They are. So like, we got a Squish the Fish shirt for the Dolphins, the New England Asterisks for the friggin' Patriots, and then what's the Bills one? Oh, hunting season, open hunting season. But we'll give away a shirt, so get it up over 300 likes and drop a comment on Matt's most recent video. Would be the reaction to Doug Peterson getting fired. All right, let's see. I thought I saw another. Oh, what was that, Matt?
Said I just put the link in the chat, by the way.
Ah, good looks. All right, and I will pin it. Bam. All right, so it's pinned now to the top. If you guys want to get entered to win a shirt from the Jets Talk store, I'll raffle that off at 11:30. You guys go over to Matt's channel, make sure you subscribe to him, and you got to drop a comment on the most recent video. It's linked in the pinned comment in the live chat, so you can shoot over that way. Benjamin coming in with a super chat saying, "Why is no one talking about Will Fuller being a free agent? This should be someone who is better than Corey Davis and cheaper than Allen Robinson." So, Benjamin, we actually brought up Will Fuller a little bit earlier in this stream, and I wanted to kind of dive back into him. Let me see, where did I put it up? All right, so Will Fuller is a free agent this year. He is ranked as the 9th wide receiver out of 129 wide receivers this season, according to Pro Football Focus. His grades over the last 5 years have been pretty good. So he started out 61.6, 67.2, 81.2, 75.2, 68, or 86.2 is this year. Now, Matt brought it up earlier in the stream. The reason we're not talking about him right now is because of the injury history. He is always injured. Matt, do you happen to have the list of games and season? I'll let you look that up while I kind of ramble a little bit. I like Will Fuller. I think he would be a better option than Robbie Anderson. I think he would be a better option than Brashad Perriman when healthy. Now, that said, Robbie Anderson doesn't miss games. Brashad Perriman, to me, is the cheaper option of the two guys, but Will Fuller is pretty explosive. Like, he'll stay healthier than I think Perriman will. But you can't guarantee that he's going to be healthy. That's the biggest issue. So, Matt.
Yeah, so he's been in the league since 2016. So we'll start 2020, work our way back to 2016. 11 games, 7, 10, 14. 14's his career high.
Yeah, that to me is just like, availability is the best ability. Like, we've heard a million times over. Like, you could be the best talent in the league. Like, there's an argument, Percy Harvin for a little bit of time was like one of the best wide receivers in the league, but the guy always had migraines and could never stay on the field. And for me, if you can't stay on the field, how are you helping the team? You're just taking up cap space. You're taking up a spot on the roster. Now, that said, if the Jets brought in Will Fuller, you'd have to tell me like what kind of contract you're looking at, because I think he's going to get a lot of money. I think someone's going to see just how valuable he is. when you see, so Robbie got what, 2 years? Was it 20 million, like an 8 million and a $12 million?
Yes.
Okay, so you got to think Davis gets at least that, or Fuller gets at least that. So 12 million a year. I would bet Fuller gets close to 15 million a year. I think that's the caliber player when healthy. That's what he'll get, unless health is that big of an issue, or maybe the salary cap dropping is that big of an issue, and he won't get that much money. I have no idea how this offseason is going to go.
Apparently, Green Bean's knocking on the door. By the way.
Oh, I see it. I see him popping up. Okay, so now let me try to do this. I'm allowing him in. I'm going to hide R2 panels. I'm going to hide R2 Zoom windows. And then I'm going to go bam, bam. Names popping up. That. Shit. Hold on. I'm working on this. What's this? Bam. That's me.
Nice and patient.
There's me. There's bam. There's. Oh, look at that. Look how quick he did that. I should have set this up earlier. Green Bean, how'd your mock draft go? What'd you guys wind up picking? I want to hear. Actually, hold on. Let's do this first.
My mock draft was good.
We'll get into your mock draft.
Wait, hold on.
We had a question come in. Will Fuller. Matt just went over the games that he's missed over the last few years. What are your thoughts on Will Fuller as a free agent?
I don't know. I don't really have feel. I think it'd be fine. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that Douglas wants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why? What are we? You like just? How much is he going to want in free agent contract, you think?
So that's what we were just talking about. Robbie Anderson got 12.
Unhealthy.
So Anderson got 12 and 8, so a 2-year, $20 million. Brashad Perriman got 6.5 or 6 to like 8.5, I think. Tyrell Williams 2 years ago, I think, signed 4 years, $44 million. So you got to think Fuller's looking somewhere. I mean, maybe in a normal cap year, like 15 million, but let's say 12 for the sake of argument.
Okay. Well, I thought he was a little older. He came in the league 2016. I just looked that up. I was like, how fucking? So he's still young. Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with it. You know, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, 12 million, sure. I mean, 10. You know what I mean? That's kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the guy I want, though. You know what I mean? I would rather go with like the guys we talk about. I don't like Schuster anymore. I don't like that dancing shit. Is that a prize? Is that bad?
Yeah.
Is that bad?
No,
I don't like it.
I'm right there with you. I think Juju thinks too much of his social media, and I'm not overly fond of him at this point. He would have been someone I would like if we decided to keep Darnold, and Darnold was playing well. Like, I don't want to double down on like Sam and bring in Juju. Not to mention Juju does a lot of his work from the slot, and I think Crowder is more than fine. And even Berrios, like when Crowder's gone, I'm cool with kind of running it back with Berrios if he continues to show out like he did this year. Yeah. So there's that, I guess.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be against Will Fuller, but I think I would prefer to go elsewhere. I think if we're bringing in Fuller, it's because we couldn't sign Robinson or Godwin or Galladay and those guys. You know, that's how I think I'd see it.
Yeah, I think that's I think that makes a lot of sense. Let me throw this up. So we'll do the 10 o'clock mock from Green Bean. Yeah, and let's talk about. What was that?
Oh, cool. Right. Yeah. No, this is cool.
Matt, what did you say?
Yeah, I didn't realize.
I said we got to know the mock. I want to know who he got.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just it. Come on. So I'm throwing it on the screen. 10 o'clock mock is on the screen. What did we do, Green Bean? So we're sitting. We go into the draft. We have the number 2 overall pick. Did you guys discuss what we did in free agency at all, or are you just going straight into the draft? I know there was no trades in this draft.
No trades. So we didn't get into anything official, but we did assume we got Thuney. That was like, all right, we got Thuney. But other than that, we didn't really play with free agency too much. But we did get Thuney, and it's not represented in our draft because we built the wall, buddy. But so, all right, here's what we did. Now, I want to preface this real quick by saying I get outvoted often in these mocks. Like I think our group is insane in some respects, but they beat me. I only have 1 vote. My son was here. He got 1 vote. So, all right. So here we go. So we took Justin Fields at 2. It was very close. He beat out Wilson by like 1 or 2 votes. So we did take Justin Fields. Then we came around at 23, and against my really lobbying for other than this, we took J.C. Horn with the 23rd overall pick, which I like the player, don't like the pick. But we did it. I don't hate the pick. It's good. I'm happy. So then
who else was available?
34, we were.
Well, hold on. Who else was available?
Everybody.
I want to know, why was the pick not good? Because I had J.C. Horn as an option at 23 for cornerback, and I don't know.
The reason I don't. All right. The reason I don't like it is because I thought that we should be going with edge over cornerback if we're going defense, but I didn't necessarily want to go defense yet. So I just like, if Basham was still there, Patrick Jones was still there, Rondell Moore was still there. Like, there was some really good wide receivers still there. Obviously Freiermuth was still there, the tight end. I had Evan was a big Freiermuth fan. So a few of us wanted Freiermuth, but I really thought we should go edge. If we were going defense there, I was pushing hard for the edge. But we took care of that later in a serviceable fashion. And the interesting thing, at that point, it was really J.C. Horn versus Creed Humphrey. That's what we whittled it down to. And I would have taken Creed Humphrey there. But they took J.C. Horn, and when we came around to 34, guess who was sitting there? Creed Humphrey. So we were able to get Creed, and J.C. Horn wasn't going to make it. He was number 1 on the big board. So that ended up being smart when you look at J.C. Horn versus Creed Humphrey. So that was pretty good. So we got Creed Humphrey at 34. We came around at 66, and we had quite the battle positionally. Edge versus wide receiver. Wide receiver won out with a really, people saying, are you kidding me? We got Justin Fields. We're not giving him any weapons. So we grabbed Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. The reason for that was route running. 6 foot, $190. So he's a good receiver. So then we were able to get edge 20 picks later at 86 with Joe Tryon. He was still there.
That pick. Big fan of Tryon.
Yeah, me too. Then at 97, 11 picks later, everybody was pretty much behind taking in the tight end Charlie Kolar out of Iowa State. We were all there. Then we went back to the offensive line and grabbed the board's favorite. Dude, they yell at me fucking from the first round all the way through until we picked this guy. It's Daniel Falele, the tackle out of Minnesota.
He's so huge. He's like 400 pounds at 6'9". Like, that's what I love about him. Like, that's just like genetic freak. Have you ever seen the picture? Actually, you know what? Let me do this. I'm gonna find the picture of Daniel Falele. I'm gonna put him up on the screen. I don't think people. No, not the coach. When people see just how massive this human being is. Okay, let me do this. So I'm gonna save the image to the desktop. All right, and then let me pull up an image of this guy right here, because, like, no joke, this guy's friggin' huge. It's so big.
Think about it. Mekhi Becton, last year, we were talking about how big he was. He's 6'7", 370. This guy has 30 pounds on him and 3 inches or 2 inches on him. 6'9", 400.
All right. So look at the image I have on the screen right now. This is Daniel Falele. This is him with his team. Now, I know there's a little bit of like witchcraft going on with the angle there, but look at the size of him. That thigh is like a redwood tree. That is an enormous human being.
Oh my God.
He's huge. Like, that's how big of a human he is. Like, let me see if I could find one with him, like, standing next to someone. Like, it's legitimately, like, fascinating how massive this guy is.
Right. He's like, in the early 1900s, he would have been in a traveling show.
Yeah.
That's what they would have done with him.
Yeah. Let's look at, like again, like, standing next to the coach. Massive. There's some nicknames you could come up with, Mekhi Becton and Falele, that would be fantastic. Like, hold on, let me pull up this one. This is a good one too. I'm gonna have my whole desktop loaded with pictures of Falele. Like, this one's really cool. Is this the pick?
I love it.
So, bam! Look at him pick up the coach. Look at that. Look at it. He looks like a child. That is a child in his arms right now. Like,
Look
that's
at him
how
picking up the car.
massive.
That's a great shot. I love that picture.
He's huge. He's friggin' massive.
Look at that, man.
Enormous.
Oh my God.
That's nuts.
Dude,
Come on.
It's
Okay.
dude, it's
There's no
just
way.
a joke with how big this guy. Like, that's the player I want in like a random round. Like, I don't know where he's supposed to go because he's only played football for 3 years, and he opted out this season. So like, you've only got 2 years of tape on the guy. He's got to be a late round pick, I would think. He's got to be like, if he comes out, I could see him going back to school.
Yeah, well, right. We got him in the 5th, so that's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a good shot to take, I'd say. Yeah, but it's funny, man. Like I said, the group that comes into the Monday Night Mock consistently, they start yelling Falele in the 1st. They're like, Falele! Like, that's when it starts, you know?
I saw some comments on the side.
One draft.
The one comment on the side was Twin Peaks. I was thinking, like, I mean, New York, it's probably not good, and they probably wouldn't use it. But Twin Towers, you got towers on either side of the quarterback. Again, probably not the best nickname to have.
Yeah.
But either way, Twin Peaks is a pretty funny one.
Twin Peaks. Yeah, so it's funny. The one week we were like we were saying, okay, Falele's the next pick, and he got picked one pick before. It was like they fucking lost their minds. They're never gonna let that happen again. Never. We'll never lose Falele again.
It's fantastic.
we got him. So we got him at pick 129. Then we really lobbied hard for a safety, and I think the board was pretty much comfortable with the pick of Paris Ford from Pitt at pick 137. Very good safety, and like I was telling them, like, you know, that's where we should be getting our safeties, not pick 6 overall.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't take a safety with 6 overall, you know. Then we went back to the O-line and grabbed the monstrous, not next to Falele, but the monstrous Josh Sills out of Oklahoma State, one of the guards I like the most, actually, in the draft. For a later round, mid to late round pick, but I like him a lot. Josh Sills, Oklahoma State. And then the other thing that we've been doing pretty much every week is wrapping the draft up with Cameron Dicker, the big peckered kicker. So that's what we do.
I love it.
Texas. Yeah,
I like it.
It's funny.
We need
Once
a kicker
we start
so
getting around
bad.
once we're around the 6th round pick, it starts. Dicker. You know what I mean? It's just he's not even really the best kicker in the draft. There's a few that might be better, smarter picks. But it's the name. Yeah, I'd get the jersey.
I mean, I take Young Ho Koo. I take Young Ho Koo for the name like almost every year. Or I'll take fucking
right.
Oh God, what's the other one? Oh God, there's 2 guys that I take every year, and I think the name's absolutely hysterical. One is Young Ho Koo. God, I'm so immature, and I can't figure out what the other name is. All right, sorry, brain fart. Now it's gone. So overall, what did people think of your? What did people think of the draft overall?
Very happy.
Ooh.
Very happy. What do you guys think of it? J.C. Horn, Justin Fields, J.C. Horn, Creed Humphrey, Tylan Wallace, Joe Tryon, Charlie Kolar, who is going back to Iowa State, unfortunately. Daniel Falele, Paris Ford, Josh Sills, and Cameron Dicker. What do you two think?
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Not bad.
Creed Humphrey in the 2nd, I definitely like more than Creed Humphrey at 23, I think. J.C. Horn, I'd probably have to see who's on the board. I like him. I think he's definitely more of a zone corner. So I guess you gotta keep that in mind with whoever your defensive coordinator is. But I like him. I think he's got some good size. I think he's 6'1", if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely not too bad.
So,
Alabama running away with this game right now, 52-24.
So does this bring the Justin Fields talk back down to earth, you think, or what do you think it does to him?
I think it'll bring the talk back down to earth. Now, I think part of this is definitely he's injured. I think he's definitely hurt.
Yeah.
I would like to see how they assess it after the game, like, because for me, I didn't see enough of him bombing the ball down the field. And if he was ripping the ball down the field and they were still losing, like, I'd have maybe a little bit more concern. But I don't know. It doesn't strike me. I don't think we should base our opinion off one game, whether it be this game or last game.
Right.
I think Matt probably feels the same way. So Matt, what do you think about Justin Fields?
Yeah, I was going to say, Green Bean, you missed a lot. The chat very much so turned on Justin Fields, and we had to try to calm him down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're not going to overreact to one game. It's like last game was the complete other direction, where this is the second coming of Jesus Christ, and now this week no one wants to touch him. So I think it's probably somewhere in the middle with what this guy is. I don't think he's a bust. I don't think he's going to be the number 1 pick or anything like that over Trevor Lawrence. Still think he's worthy of the number 2 pick.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just, I think it's a lot of overreaction going on right now.
We're like that, aren't we? We're a funny
I'll throw up
fan
some
base.
stats real quick. So Justin Fields, as of right now, is 9 for 18, so 50% completion percentage, has 138 yards and a touchdown. He has 4 carries for 66 yards also. Yeah, I don't know. This game's not going to change my opinion, but I think if a head coach were to come in and, like, love Sam and, like, this is the last thing we're going to see of Justin Fields, I think a lot of the fan base would kind of lean that way more so than not. Now, without being a prisoner of the moment, I think he's hurt. I don't think he's playing at 100% right now. I think what we saw him get hit with last week, I'm sure he's got broken ribs. And, I don't know, maybe do you think it's Alabama's defense giving him a hard time, or do you think it's, I don't know. Do you think it's the difference in competition level, or I don't know? Green Bean, what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't watch that separator. It was still a game when I left, But I think some of it has to be Alabama's defense. That was the concern, at least partially. I mean, it was all like, okay, well, this is a step up in really defensive prowess. It's like, this is a different level of defense, especially with their middle linebacker play caller going out last week in Clemson. So I think some of it's got to be attributed to the defense. But like you said, if he's hurt, that's gonna. I mean, it looks like the play calling is different than last week as well. So they're doing something, at least building in an excuse, if nothing else.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're protecting his
I
draft
think it's
stock
probably a little
by
bit
like not letting him let it rip. Like only having 19 passes, or what was it? It wasn't even 19 passes, I don't think. 18 passes. Like that to me feels like you should be putting the onus on the back of your quarterback to go out and win this game and win a shootout after what he did last week, and it just doesn't feel like they're doing that at all.
Yeah.
So Justin Fields at 2?
Well, I'm not weird, but it's it's going to be a lot to discuss.
Will Kohler
Like
says
Matt
Patrick
said, last
Surtain
week
II
it was
is
like-
covering Olave.
Yeah, it's a big
I
difference.
will say this: Surtain looks way better than Wade on the Ohio State side, like night and day. I think there's maybe 4 corners on most big boards ahead of Wade. I think it's Surtain, J.C. Horn, what's the other one?
Twitter was basically saying that Sean Wade's undraftable after tonight.
That's where it went.
He's having a rough go of it. Not having a good game.
Yeah. Last week wasn't so good either. It wasn't a good game last week either. So these last 2 weeks in front of the nation, so to speak, that's so funny that's where they got to, though.
You might tell me, like, I don't want to say I'd take him off my board, but based on the 2 performances I saw, I don't really want the Jets to draft him.
Well, not at 23, maybe. You can make that case. But if he's sitting there at well, how about this? What if he's sitting there at 34?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like,
Well, I would. Yeah.
do I love him more than like an edge rusher
no.
or Asante Samuel Jr.? Like at 34, I might take Jr. over him. I don't know. If he's sitting there in the 3rd round, go for it. Or like you trade for Sam and he's a later second, okay. But I think there's some other players I might like ahead of him than where we might have to pull the trigger on him.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't take a corner that early, just period. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think our needs are elsewhere. Not that we don't need a cornerback. I'm not saying that, but I think pressing, like, quarterback, edge beats out cornerback for me, especially in this draft. You know what I mean? Just like you can really fill that hole this year, man. And what a great we literally haven't seen a consistent pass rush in decades. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So what would Bryce Hall be like if he had 1 second less time to have to cover every play? You know what I mean?
Sure. Now, one thing for Fields is he's doing this without his starting running back, so he's missing him plus having, the injury. I don't know. I would like to see him open it up a little bit more. Now it looks like they're throwing a bit more, but they're playing prevent defense at this point, so they're just letting, clock run. So it's hard to evaluate anything from Fields from this point on with any, real certainty, I think.
Right.
Now, we got to go back and watch his whole season. That's what I would say. And look at the guys who break down. That's not my forte. Trying to do that stuff is not my strong suit. So I lean towards doing my research and looking at, other people who have access to the film and seeing what they say. And it seems like that Justin Fields is still worthy of being a number 2 pick. So I'm going to lean in on that and just say that it's, a mix of injury and just them being significantly better than everyone in the college football.
Yeah.
So Tony G comes in. He says, not a Sam fan, but scheme can make quarterbacks and other players look good. Coaching decision will be boss. Yes, 100%. Coaching is going to play a huge role in what happens with Sam Darnold. And maybe seeing this performance tonight I would hope that this performance isn't the reason why the Jets don't take a quarterback at 2, or at least choose not to take Fields at 2. Like, I would hope they have some type of, some type of feel on this quarterback situation prior to going into this. Would this performance change if you're a Fields fan, would this performance change your opinion on keeping Sam, or do you think you have to take the quarterback at 2? Green Bean, I'll throw it to you first.
Well, I don't know if they feel like they have to take a quarterback at 2, but I will say I'm fairly confident that this game isn't going to be the decider on anything. You know what I mean? It's like you have to take the whole sample size and look, how did they overcome adversity? What did they do in these situations? So everybody has a bad game, man. Everybody, even if that's all it was, which we don't think that it is. But yeah, I don't think one game is doing very much to knock him out of number 2 or bring him up to number 2 if you didn't have him there.
So before I throw it over to Matt to get his opinions, guys, if you want to get in on our raffle tonight, we got a pinned comment in the live chat. All you have to do is subscribe to Matt. Got to subscribe to Green Bean too. I'm going to make that rule right now. Got to subscribe to Matt, and he's got a link in the pinned comment to his most recent video. All you have to do is leave a comment on that video, and we're going to pick someone to be a winner of a shirt. We're going to raffle that off in about 9 minutes, so make sure you do that now. Matt, what are you thinking about different scheme for quarterback?
Yeah, I definitely think that it plays a factor in it. I think there's a lot of factors going into, what could make a quarterback thrive in a specific situation. Scheme is definitely part of it. Coaching is definitely a part of it. And that's why I think if he's to have any chance of having success in this league, he has to go to a San Francisco or a Pittsburgh or an Indianapolis where there is such a really good infrastructure to begin with. And then, wow, that's a really good throw from Fields. Sorry. Well,
now I got to sit and wait. No, go on. I saw the first down play.
Hold on. Yeah. Did you see Fields on that handoff? The cornerback was coming in around the edge, and Fields turned around, handed off, and leveled him. You see that?
I didn't catch it, no. Oh, God.
It's nice.
Fields does have a nice
Put him
throw.
right on his
Man.
ass.
Wow.
If they can get up to like 31 and maybe some more points, it's still a respectable game. You're getting destroyed on your defense. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I don't know if that's gonna be a catch.
They're gonna look at it.
Yeah, man, that is
Shit, I'm
close.
so many plays behind you.
You'll see it. It's the second down play. Is his foot still down? I don't know if it's down. So either way, even if they're playing off on defense, that was a throw, like an NFL caliber throw. I think that was a very good back shoulder throw. So even though it's hard to kind of grade it, overly critical right now, I think I can at least say that. Man, that is close. I feel like I got to see the other angle. Like, is that foot still down after he resecures the ball?
It's close. It kind of bobbles as he's going down, I think.
He does. It definitely he lets it go away from his chest for a second and then regains possession, but I don't know if his hand's actually on the ball or not. All right, so Ben Keeley jumps in, says, looking at teams that are way over the cap like the Saints and Steelers, are there any players you want to target by trade? Yes, there are. And I actually had a video that I was going to put out for this that I didn't because we got into the whole, head coach getting fired and then just nonstop action with all those candidates. So the Saints right now are projected to be $95 million over the salary cap for next year. Players that they could trade or move on from and save salary cap space. That's what we're kind of looking at here. So for me, the right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk, going into the last year of his deal, if they trade him, they save $11 million on their salary cap. It's an area the Jets could arguably need, depending on how you feel about George Fant. The other one is Marshawn Lattimore, $10.2 million savings going into the last year of his contract. He had a bad year this year, but if you bring in someone like Aaron Glenn, the secondary coach of the New Orleans Saints, I think that is a realistic target that you could go after and try to save a little bit of space. This is why these types of deals are why I think Joe Douglas went out and got a 2022 6th-round pick. And like all these different things, like, hey, we'll give you a conditional pick because you're going to have to, cut him anyway. So we'll give you the pick rather than you cutting him. And then you'll get a higher pick if we retain him the following year. So Lattimore, Ramczyk, two guys I'm really looking at to try and trade for or look and scoop them up if you can. Nick Easton, left guard, is due $6 million. I don't know where he kind of falls on stuff. Quan Alexander is due $13.4 million. He's more than likely getting cut. You're probably not going to have to trade for him. Janoris Jenkins, $7 million. I don't love that.
Pretty old at this point, too, no?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what his age is at this point. So the Steelers, they only have 36 guys under contract, and they are just under $22 million over the salary cap. So if they do not bring back Big Ben, that'll help them a little bit. But I like the Steelers just for their free agents, let alone like all the extra stuff. But guys that they could cut, Marquise Pouncey, $8 million. Joe Hayden, $7 million. God, yeah. I mean, unless they really want to, they have a ton of players at $10 million or above. Just on, on their cap hit right now. TJ Watt, $10 million. DeCastro, 14. Steve Nelson, 14. Pouncey, 14.4. Cameron Hayward, 14.5. Tuitt, 14.9. Hayden, 15.5. Big Ben, 41 million. These are huge cap hits for next year. They're gonna have to move on from some players. What do you guys think in terms of players that the Jets could try to target in terms of a trade? Matt, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to steal your idea because I really like it. The Lattimore one seems to make a lot of sense. He's still young, and if you are interested in bringing in Aaron Glenn as a potential defensive coordinator, then that would just make a whole lot of sense. I think he's one of the better corners in football, and it's going to be difficult for them not to lose guys. So I definitely think that he's realistic. You know, I don't know. I'm okay with running Fant back for another year. So I don't know if I would touch Ramczyk by a trade. I would probably use that asset to go a different direction. But I really like the idea of getting a young, established number one corner.
Green Bean, what about you? What do you think about some potential trade targets for the New York Jets?
I really only have one that I'll throw out tonight, and that is Deshaun Watson. And I really want to bring that up because it's
because
a lot of
you
fun
threw some
for me.
shade at us the other day.
I know. I'm surprised it took this long for us to get here. But yeah, I think maybe Sam in a second. Sam in our second first. I know people, there's a lot of talk going on around that one. People even saying if he shoots his way out of town, you don't want a player like that. And I agree, but I don't think he's going to shoot his way out of town. I think it's just, they're going to have those internal discussions and whatever. But if they do trade him, it would be for less this year because of all the things going on and the hole that they're in. So I think Joe Douglas should absolutely explore that one. And I would be willing to give up a little more if it's not our number two. And the reason being is a comment that you actually made last week, Ryan, because if we gave him, let's say we give him our first and Sam, but they want another third, throw it in because you can take that number two pick and just bounce back and get all that stuff back with a couple well-placed trade backs. And you could basically be Deshaun Watson for almost for free, the way I see it. So that's the one guy I'd bring up. I don't really think it's going to happen, but it's interesting.
I really, really like Deshaun Watson, and I really hope it happens. Creepy gave us so much shit for it last week. We're like, there's no way it's happening. They're not trading him. I thought Olave made that catch on the end zone.
If anybody hasn't seen the video, it's on my YouTube page, and it's a blast. And I really do appreciate you guys being good sports. I checked with them first, guys. I'm not that much of an asshole.
Oh, he laid into us, though. He was just like, I'm dropping this regardless of what you guys think. And I was like, you screw you, Green Bean. We're not having you on the panel anymore. No, I'm kidding. Exactly. We love you, Bean. Prime Times comes in with a super chat. He says, Marcus May just tweeted, what a ball with eyes, talking about the bomb. I shouldn't call it a bomb, but what was it, like a 30-yard pass on the slight back shoulder throw that was an incomplete pass? I think that's when that super chat came in. So Marcus May, I think, liking the quarterback selection there.
Yeah, he's watching. I have no issue with that.
I'm all about it. Now, do you think he's just watching, or do you think he's like, Fields?
I just checked. It was a great ball, exclamation point. There wasn't no eye emoji, so I don't know if that makes a difference one way or the other for you guys.
Eye emoji means more. I think there's more thought put into an eye emoji.
Yeah, I would tend to think so too. I don't see any, I don't think it's like you throwing Sam under the bus or anything like that. People are gonna read into this shit and jump to conclusions, but I think it's just like a general reaction to watching the game.
I don't know if you can see this, but I actually have tinfoil lined in the side of my hat, so this will be a video at some point. Marcus May wants Justin Fields. No, I'm kidding. Greenview, what do you think of Marcus May tweeting out, what a ball?
Yeah, I think it's probably he's watching football and like the pass. You know what I mean? That's probably all it is.
I like it.
I think we said it too.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. Victor A coming in says Fields has to be the pick at 2. Can Wilson convert his talent to the NFL? His injuries have me concerned, and he gives me Drew Lock vibes. JETS. Oh man, I didn't watch a whole lot of Drew Lock in college, so I can't say that that's where I'm looking at that. It doesn't feel like he's Drew Lock from just what I've seen of Drew Lock in the NFL plus what I've seen of Zach Wilson in college. I don't know. I think a quarterback has to I think a quarterback has to be the pick at 2. Unless Douglas like really believes in Sam. Like I don't know what you could have seen from Sam over the last few like weeks of the season, months of the season, and felt like, yeah, 185 yards a game. Let's sign up for that. Like the guy had less than 10 touchdowns. What do you have? 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, or something like that. It was like not a good.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he had that. Might have been even worse.
9 and 11, I think.
Well, oh, very good. Yeah, it's good stuff.
So bad.
You know what I was saying too, like to some people, I forget where I said it, but it's like in that last game against the Patriots, if he could have just shown us something to leave on, like, hey, just something. But even that, when you're trying to find something, he gave you nothing.
Oh, is this a catch?
No, you're not going to like the 4th down play either.
Oh man, Olave's toe was like definitely down at one point. I don't know if he had the. Oh man, that sucks. All right, now I got. Sorry, Green Bean. I'll go back to you in just a second. I want to see this 4th down play.
No.
Take a little bit of zip off the ball fields.
They threw it a little behind him too.
Oh, he's wide the fuck open. So let me see. Can I build in any excuse for this? He's running. Nah, just a bad pass. Man, he's wide open. Maybe
So
he was
what
hoping he
happened
would
to
stop running. Go on. Sorry.
What happened to Devontae Smith? What happened to him? Did he get hurt?
I think he went into the medical tent from what Matt was saying. I don't know what it was, guys in the chat. If you heard it, we don't have the volume on. We're just watching the game. So if you want to throw up what you think it was, it looks like they're saying a finger. D. Smith went to the ER. Hand. Yeah, they're saying finger. Hurt his finger is what the diagnosis is.
I wouldn't draft him. Now.
Wouldn't touch him. He's done. He's done.
Yeah.
Undraft.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, man. Undraft.
Undraft.
Need your
Multivial
fingers,
says,
man.
if you guys could take one player from each conference, who would you choose, but you lose both first-round picks this year? Ooh.
Wait,
Patrick
what?
Mahomes.
That's the obvious one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes, and then from the NFC, do I give him a talent like a DK Metcalf? Or actually, no, I'm taking Chase Young. I'm taking Chase Young, and I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. What do you think, Matt?
I didn't hear the question. I could.
The question is, you lose both first-round picks, but you can take one player from each conference. Who are you taking?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Aaron Donald's another popular name that popped up.
Yeah, well, see, you have Quinnen, so like I feel like we're gonna play the game, and obviously he's better than Quinnen. But I'm trying to. Pat Mahomes has to. That's the most obvious answer. The NFC one is a little bit more interesting. Want to get nuts? We go Michael Thomas.
Ooh, I like Michael Thomas. I could get on board with that. Green Bean, what about you?
Yeah, very
Who are you
nice.
taking, AFC, NFC?
Well, I agree with you. I would take Mahomes in the AFC almost without question. I could think about it a little longer, but it's going to be hard to peel him off the docket. And I like Chase Young too, but I think I might even – no, I would probably go with him, yeah. But I like Thomas too. Can I have 3 each, please?
Well, so let's do this. Let's say not Patrick Mahomes, because I think that makes things interesting. Or maybe we say not a quarterback and say like position player, so that way it's not because otherwise then we're probably going Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. Like we're playing the quarterback game, I think.
I would have went Justin Herbert. Give me that rookie deal.
Ooh.
You're factoring it all in, Matt. He's not fucking around.
That's not bad. I could live with that. I like Watson. I like Watson. To me, just feels like such a baller, and I think people want to play with him. So I think you'd attract a lot of free agents. With Herbert, people will like him a lot. I like the rookie contract. I think you could have some concern as to, will he maintain the level of success he had? Like, at least with Watson, he's got like steady years of consistent success. That might be the only thing that might throw you for a loop on a rookie quarterback, I guess. What about you, Green Bean?
How about Christian McCaffrey, NFC, and Aaron Donald? No, he's NFC too. Shit. You know what? Derrick Henry, AFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you right
really
now. I'm not taking a running back if I have the entire AFC to pick from, Green Bean.
I don't give a shit.
Sorry.
I don't give a shit. Dude, there are players. Dude, fuck
there
you.
are
Let me tell you
players.
something. Without Derrick Henry, that team never makes it to the AFC Championship game last year, and he carried them again this year. He's
sure,
that
but they have
good.
a stud offensive line. If you want the running back, you got to go with the offensive line. So, you really taking Derrick Henry? Who are you taking in the NFC then?
One offensive lineman. That's all you're going to get. I'll take Conklin.
Maybe second round. It's snake draft. You got to wait for it to come back.
He's doing
Wait, what
Derrick Henry and Greg Zerloin, the kicker for the Cowboys.
I want Braden, man. I want fucking
dude.
Young Hoku. That's my answers. I'm sticking
one
with
player, so we have to assume we have a team, right?
Sure.
We have to assume.
Okay.
We have a
Fair
team.
enough. Fair enough. You're swapping them
right?
on. Let's say we're swapping them onto the Jets. Let's swap them onto the Jets right now. You can't pick Mahomes. Let's say you're rolling with your quarterback. You're rolling with Sam Darnold. You can take one player from the AFC, one player from the NFC. Chase Young is still my pick for the NFC. I don't think there's anyone that can beat that out. For the AFC, with Sam, man.
Yeah, you got to get him a stud wide receiver. Ooh, I would take.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to.
You know what I'll do? I'll take Travis Kelce.
Ooh, okay. He likes his tight ends. I could get behind that.
That's right.
But Kelsey's a little bit older too. Isn't Kelce like 30?
He's great.
So, God, who are the good receivers in the AFC
Watch what he
now?
does.
You got Juju.
Got Diggs.
Just trying to run through teams. Landry feels like he would make sense. Like not that I want him necessarily, but like, yeah, like I think Sam likes. I don't think Sam likes throwing deep routes, and I think Landry doing crossing routes makes a lot of sense. You guys are saying Bosa's a good pick. Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So man, if I had to go with a receiver, God,
Joey Bosa,
Tyreek Hill. A lot of people are saying Tyreek Hill. I like Tyreek Hill. Sam can't throw a deep ball though. That's like what's killing me about this. I like this question, multi-vials.
No, it's. I want to tell you, it's actually Mutt Vials.
Mutt Vials. Man, I said I wouldn't screw it up, and I've screwed it up this many times. I see some Diggs comments in there.
Good.
Devontae Adams would be the receiver. If I had to take a receiver in the NFC, I'm taking Devontae Adams, I think, over Thomas. I do like Thomas a lot, though. Man, yeah, so maybe I do Devontae Adams in the NFC, and I take, like, the Bosa brother in the AFC.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Joey.
Good thought process.
What about you, Matt? What are you doing? Did you already say?
Okay, so we're not doing no Mahomes, no quarterback. So we're keeping
no
Sam.
quarterback.
Okay.
You got to roll with Sam. Who you taking? One player AFC, one player NFC.
Thuney and Michael Thomas.
Okay. I like Thuney, and I wouldn't be upset if that was the offensive lineman of choice.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I like Michael Thomas. He to me, he's been a top 3 receiver in the league for like the last 4 years or whatever it is. This year was a little bit of a down year because he missed some time. But all right, Peter. Ooh, man, got to give away a shirt. Holy smokes! Didn't even think about this. All right, Matt, go over to your page. We have over 300 likes on the video, and
nice.
Let guys in the chat give us a number like 1 through 15. Give us a number 1 through 15. The first number that pops up 3 times is going to be the number that I'm going to pick. Holy shirt giveaway, Batman.
So, like, doing all comments or just comments within the last hour?
You can do all comments. Why not? Screw it. Surprise them. No, it should be within the last hour. I'd feel so bad if we gave someone a shirt that, like, is never going to tune into this. It's going to be number 12. 12 is going to be the what you do. And it can be in all sorts of random orders if you want. Sometimes when I do it, I skip a few names and I just like go back up the opposite ladder.
Okay. Okay, we have our winner.
All right. Matt, who is our winner?
Our winner is Caleb Goldner.
Ooh,
Caleb!
Make sure you reach out to me on either the Flick chat or the Discord, either one, and then I'll get your information. I'll send you out a shirt. But congratulations on winning our shirt giveaway tonight. And this was brought to you by you guys because you guys asked for it, and I completely forgot to do it otherwise. Peter Frantinelli says, this hasn't been talked about, but what about Devontae Smith at 2? No! I will not sign off on Devontae Smith at 2. 2 is way too valuable for a team looking for a quarterback.
No.
You have to trade out, in my opinion. I like Devontae Smith a lot, but I'm not taking him at 2. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's when you could start to play that game of let's move back to 5 and see what happens.
Totally.
Then you do that. I agree.
Green Bean, what are your thoughts? Devontae Smith at 2.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like, right. That's when, if that's your target, you can absolutely trade back a little bit, recoup some capital, and then not recoup, but acquire some capital and then take him there. You don't take him at 2 because you don't have to, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really the biggest come away from that. Steven says, apparently there are character concerns with Wilson. I've heard this, and I think they've kind of been debunked. But this is one of the reasons why the combine is so important. You get to talk to other players, you get to talk to the quarterback, sort of get a vibe for them. And you know these guys are going to be doing a ton of homework on character concerns. After what happened with Ryan Leaf back in 97, 98, whatever that was, and with Jamarcus Russell, like, you do not want to whiff. And especially with like Haskins, just, you know, in 2 years' time, you have to do all your research on quarterbacks before you pull the trigger on one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Wilson. So from my sort of look at the whole situation with him, I watched a few interviews with his family. His dad was tough on him, really tough. Like, Zach didn't want to play football at one point. Like, tough. Like, he was like, I'm ready to like call it quits. And his dad was like, no, you're going to keep going. And then it turned into like his passion, his love. He actually legitimately likes it a lot. You have to if you're going to get to this point in your career. But I don't know. It doesn't. Could I see some type of personality issue? Maybe, I guess. I mean, I think they're sort of stereotyping him as like a. I don't know. It looks like he came from money, and I think you could argue maybe there is a spoiled aspect to him. I haven't seen it in the interviews. I haven't seen it on tape. I mean, is he a little cocky? Maybe, but not like. I think the character concerns are overblown, but it's something you definitely have to look into before you pull the trigger on him, or any quarterback for that matter. Matt, what do you think about the character concerns for Wilson?
I think they're blown out of proportion, and I think I feel like he gets unfairly compared to Johnny Manziel or even roped in with Baker Mayfield. It's like, because he kind of looks like them, and I don't know.
It's a pretty boy, short white quarterback. Like that's exactly where it's coming from. Small school.
Exactly, which I don't know. I hate that stuff. I'm very much so look at the individual, and yeah, maybe he's good looking, has a nice smile, and like maybe is a little bit different, we'll say, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything from any of those players or anything like that, or anything out in the media, so I'm really all good with that. I think it's debunked.
Green Bean, what do you think about any character concerns for Wilson?
Well, there was a commenter in here, Michael Stevenson, one of our commenters, said that's what they said about Aaron Rodgers. I think that's a great point. Sure, we have the Josh Rosen thing, but it's like, I mean, like you said, right, they're going to do all this. They're going to figure all this out, but I think it's probably overblown as well. And you don't want to pass on the guy you think is the guy because you think he might be a little bit of a jerk. You know, you figured that out, but I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Yeah, you almost with the quarterback position, I almost like the little bit of like you have to be a dick kind of quarterback. Like that's one of the reasons why I actually like Justin Fields, and I haven't made a video on it, but there's a little bit of I would say lesser known knowledge in Justin Fields. When he was transferring from Georgia to Ohio State, the incumbent quarterback at Ohio State, hey, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head right now. It wasn't Haskins. It was the guy that was going to be starting in place of Haskins. And he said something like, oh, are you going to think about, someone asked him, are you going to think about transferring out of Ohio State because Justin Fields is coming here? And he said something along the lines of like, oh, I'm not trading out of, or I'm not transferring schools. I don't have to do this because like this guy doesn't know the team. He doesn't know the playbook and all this and that and the other thing. Well, what happens is Justin Fields goes there. This guy winds up transferring like 2 weeks later. And then Justin Fields just tears it up, finishes top 3 in Heisman voting, and then winds up tweeting out a picture of him swinging a golf club. Oh, no, sorry. So the incumbent quarterback says, oh, you better not miss like the last time, meaning that he is transferring out of Georgia, so he missed going there, and now he's going to Ohio State. So he swings the golf club, hits a ball, and says, oh, at least I didn't miss that, and tweets it out, because that was like the last thing that was ever said to him from that quarterback. And what I find even great, like I like the little shot, like it shows me he's got a little bit of like vengeance in him, like he's angry, he wants to like prove this guy wrong. And then on top of it, he doesn't even follow that quarterback on Twitter. He follows that quarterback's sister on Twitter and likes all the risque photos. Like Justin Fields is a boss. I love it. I am so on board with him just getting like, because he seems like a nice guy, but like if he's like, this tells me he's a competitor. Like I don't care how you spin it. Like maybe he's a douche. Maybe that's what it is. Like maybe he's just an asshole. But like this to me is like sort of a fun story that I really like about him.
God, that's funny. I didn't hear that before, but that's interesting, man. I don't hate it.
So Ohio State winds up losing 24-52 to Alabama. That is our final score. Justin Fields walking off the field for what is presumably the last time in college football. His stats on the game. Let me just refresh real quick. Stats on the game: 17 of 33, so just over 50% completion percentage. 194 yards, a touchdown. He had 6 rushes for 67 yards, so 11.2 per clip. To me, it clearly looked like he was injured. It didn't look like they called the game the way they would have, like that they called against Clemson. Maybe that's by design. Maybe they shut down everything. Olave did not get open the way he did last game. But I guess any thoughts on the game, and then we have 2 more super chats I want to get into before I close it out for tonight.
I agree. I definitely think that he was playing hurt. I don't think it was his best performance, but I don't think this is any reason to not take him second overall. I think Joe Douglas and whoever the new coach is should sit down, get in a room and say, all right, who do we like here out of Zach Wilson or Justin Fields? And you take whoever that is at 2. And
Green Bean, what about you? Any thoughts on the game?
Well, I agree with Matt said. I mean, I think, clearly they were outmatched, but don't forget, Trey Sermon went down in like the first drive. Ruckert went down. So there's a lot that went on here tonight. I think Bama was just a better team, but this one game doesn't make or break Justin Fields. On the other side, on the flip side, I think Mac Jones did well for himself tonight, as did Devontae Smith. But I think, Mac Jones isn't creeping up into the top 5 picks or anything, but I do think he's going to end up being a first-round pick for a quarterback-needy team.
All right, so Anthony Vitero says, metaphorical gun to your head, who's the pick at 2? It's quarterback. It's Fields or Wilson. I'm going to say Fields just because he's been like the number 2 guy for so long. This whole process could really change. McShay had him going 15 to the Patriots. Like that makes no sense to me. McShay throwing. That's why I think it's also a smokescreen. He has us what do you have us? He has us taking the tackle, I think, in his mock. He wanted because they don't do trades. So then I don't see it. Fields going that late. I think Fields is the pick at 2. What about you, Matt?
Is this my pick, or what I think Joe Douglas is going to do?
So let's do what we think
Ours.
Joe Douglas is gonna. Oh man, I think he's gonna trade down. That's what I feel like Joe Douglas wants to do. I think it's gonna be a pick, and I think it's gonna be Fields. But you can give us a little bit of.
I would take Wilson. I think they're gonna take Justin Fields, and I'm not upset about that.
Green Bean, what about you? Metaphorical gun to your head. Who's the pick at 2?
I think we trade back after acquiring Deshaun Watson for a 3rd-round pick.
I would love nothing more than to find out we got Deshaun Watson for any amount of picks. That's kind of, where I am. Mutt Viles. I'm sorry, I can't show your last comment. I waited too long, and I can't pop it up on the screen. Man, Streamlabs got to fix that. That sucks. So he says, final one for the night. Got work in the AM. Love the stream as always. Everyone go Jets. Oh, awesome. Multiples. Mutt Viles. Mutt Viles. Mutt Viles. I'm going to screw up your name literally every single time I see it pop up, and I'm so sorry. It's not because I don't care. It's because I'm illiterate. All right, guys. We've been hanging out. It's pretty much 4 hours worth of time. Like I said, make sure you check out Matt and Greenbean if you're not already subscribed, but I would think if you're hanging out in here for the last 4 hours, you guys would be subscribed to them. We will be back here, actually, I guess tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Tuesday? Talking Jets panel tomorrow.
Holy shit. That's right.
I didn't even think about that. Like, totally.
Man, I'm driving. I got a long day of driving, so that'll be good. I'll be settled in by that time.
I was going to say, if you don't want to do it, we just did 4 hours tonight, so I'm not going to lose any sleep if you want to not cover it tomorrow. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. All right. We're in. We're doing Talking Jets tomorrow.
Right. I have to figure out if I have internet at the next place. I'd never know till I get there. So how'd I do tonight? Was I freeze beam tonight?
No, you were good. And I don't think guys in the chat, let us know. Did we actually have any issues with stuttering? I don't think we did, because my stream is saying I'm pumping out my current bit rate is too high. It's higher than the recommended thing. So I think the 32 extra gigabytes of RAM is what did it. I threw that in like 2 days ago.
Oh.
Man, this puppy is screaming. I didn't realize my computer's like 3 years old right now, which like I bought like a really good computer at the time, but I never upgraded the RAM. So I was sitting at 8 gigs of RAM, and I'm like looking like, why is it stuttering? I'm like, oh, because I'm in boot camp. I'm doing that. So pumping in all the RAM was kind of nice.
Nice.
Whatever. All right. Guys, it's been real fun. We'll see you back here tomorrow. My name's Ryan. I've been your pilot tonight.